Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Friday Night Betalong. How are you getting on, guys?
Yeah, good, Abby. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Looks like we're in school uniforms here, all with matching T-shirts, but just kind of hit me as we came back on air. We will just kick this off very, very quickly because, Slats, you have a bet that's already live, and we would hate to have a goal happen in that match before we get anywhere into the show. So we're going to cut over to the Friday Night Live action. Aka, and what's your bet tonight, Slats?
Yeah, my pick, I stepped away from the Dutch 2 and I went for some Bundesliga. Hoffenheim are playing Cologne. So I mentioned this in the article that we have up on the site, that like Hoffenheim a couple of seasons ago, I remember like their goals for and goals against was basically averaging 2 for and 2 against per game, even above that. Like, and ever since then, I've always looked at them as a team in the both teams to score market. Anytime they're playing, I just kind of have a glance at them and see if there's how their form is and what their opposition is like. So that's what I did here. Form wise isn't brilliant. They've hit both teams to score in 4 of their 7 league games, but they've scored 12 and conceded 11 in those games. So they have been high scoring. They just haven't hit goals at both ends every time. But at their last 10 home games, 8 of those have had both teams to score, and they're playing at home against Cologne. And then when I went in to look at Cologne, like their stats are class in fairness. All 7 of their league games this season have had goals at both ends. And 11 of their last 12 in all competitions have had both teams scoring. The head-to-head is pretty decent between the two teams as well. 3 of their last 4 have had both teams scoring. And I think something like the last 6 head-to-heads have had over 2.5 goals. So I've combined those two, gone for both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 8-11. And yeah, I mean, it feels like an absolute banker. I know 8-11 is odds on, but it feels like a sort. So
8-11 is right in that range where you can still tell yourself it's even money. You're kind of like, oh, that's close enough.
I do. I lie to myself about 8-11, yeah. And yeah, it's so far off. Yeah. It still runs up an accumulator well, I think. If you fit in with a couple of evens and that, like we have tonight, it still boosts the odds significantly. As a single, it's not the most tempting bet unless you're putting on a pretty hefty wager. Yeah. But I do think it's good in an ACCA.
I need to write a strongly worded letter to Betfair to get that market added on, because I've had to do that bet with a 4-9, just over 2.5 goals. So decreases my odds even more.
I'm actually the same, and I picked the market, and I've done it a few times on the Dutch as well, and then I go to back it myself in Betfair, and it's not available. So yeah, we either need to speak to Betfair or maybe open a Bet365 account.
It's on Betfair's response to Lukaku's ghost no shot on target last season. I don't think we get much of an answer out of them. So Gary, what do you want tonight in the Betalong ACCA?
Yeah, so mine is in Burton versus Morecambe, the dizzy heights of the EFL. But no, like in this game, as I said, if you're asking me to pick a team to win, I'd probably pick Burton. They would have been looking to go for promotion at the start of the season, but they've been fairly inconsistent after a good start. But they're scoring a lot in their games. Then Morecambe, as you say in the article, they've kind of turned into the entertainers of the division. There's been 19 goals in their last 4 league games. They played in the Cup last week. I think it was the EFL Trophy, and that finished 2-2. So what's that? 23 goals in their last 5 games. I've put both teams to score at 19-20. I think it's a decent bet. I can't see Burton not scoring, but as I said, they've been fairly inconsistent of late. A lot of their games have ended like 2-1, 3-2, that kind of thing. So Morecambe could nick one. Over 2.5 crossed my mind as well. And Burton to win and both teams to score is something I've called out in the article, but actually haven't done, so I'm going to try and get on that now. So I've done the treble straight with you lads' suggestions, but I'm going to try and do it again now with Burton to win and both teams to score.
Yep, sounds good.
Then you've gone back to Belgium, LB, is it?
Yeah, I feel like I'm just every Friday night I'm just back in Bruges just to concede. Basically, is my bet. It seems to be this season. They're 5-1 on for this game. I think they were 15-1 on to score a goal, and both teams to score is 9-10. It just makes no sense. It's a huge jump in the odds. And looking at it, we touched on it earlier in the season. Bruges sold their the kind of star centre back last season, Casuuno, I think is how you pronounce it, to the Bundesliga. And they haven't been the same team since. They've conceded in nearly every game this season. I think that they've kept one clean sheet at home since March. They really just aren't solid at the back anymore. They just outscore everyone they play in Belgium. Kortrijk have they've scored in every game bar one this season, and they've got 10 in their last six consecutive games scoring. I think they'll score and draw or score and lose. I don't think they'll win. So yeah, it's gone for that. It's such a crazy price in jump in the odds that it has to be back at 9 to 10. So yeah, no, it does feel like I'm going back to the same well over and over again, but at even money now. Sorry, it actually drifted to even money slats. That's the bet that I have tonight. I'm going to back Brugge and both teams to score as well at 9 to 5.
It's mad because that bet is actually close or come in the odds in Betfair. So it's gone from, I backed it earlier on, it was close to even money, but it's gone into 8 to 11 now. So it's mad that it's drifting with one bookie and not with another.
That must be just money coming for it, is it?
Burton are into 8 to 11. Burton, both teams to score is into 8 to 11 as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, on Betfair. Yeah. Now, when I put the odds up on the site, I was using the Bet365 odds for the both teams to score in over 2.5. So I'm not sure what Burton was, but what you had given, I think, was 9 to 10, and I got it on Bet365 at 19 to 20.
It's actually 3 to 4 now. The Bruges game on Betfair. That's a serious old tightening of the odds.
Moving markets, lads.
Yeah. Nice. So that's the bet tonight. The Belgian game is just kicking off here. Is yours an 8 o'clock kickoff, Gary?
No, it's kicking off now in a second.
Kicking off now as well.
I am watching. There's an 8 o'clock kickoff in the West Brom game, which I'm going to be looking at. I've done a bet builder for that, so we can probably shout that out closer to the time. But just to give an update on if you include the over 2.5 goals in the German game, the both teams to score in the Belgian game, and then Burton to win on both teams to score, that's 11 to 1 if anybody's interested. So I've just gone on that. It's a nice little kicker for the bet.
I'm actually going to match you on that one. I did another one before we came on air. So Waterford are playing tonight. I've gone with them and both teams to score. PSG and both teams to score. Bruges and both teams to score. And I think one other leg. I think it's 175 to 1. So it's pretty juicy. So I'll be cheering that on as well.
I'm on Betfair here. So in that article I mentioned Andre Kramaric. I mean, well, not be pronouncing that name correctly, but he's a Hoffenheim striker. And last season against Cologne, he scored 5 goals across the 2 games. He got a hat-trick in one and a brace in the other. And he's 5 to 4 for an anytime goal scorer I fancied. But I just went into the shots on target market, and Betfair are showing that he has a shot on target, and it's still 1 to 6 for 1 shot on target and 11 to 10 for 2 shots on target. So I think I'm just going to throw tenner. Now, I don't know what Betfair are like in terms of if they've made a mistake and then they haven't adjusted the odds, are they going to pull this back off?
I think they're pretty... Do you remember, Slats, we looked at a game before? I was texting you, this could be 2 years ago. It was a Lyon game. I backed goals. There was a goal. Then I saw it on TV that it was going to be ruled out, so I cashed out for like 99% of my bet. And then the goal was disallowed. But then like 10 minutes later, they scored again. Do you remember that? Maybe not.
I don't really. If the one I'm thinking of, though, was on Bet365, it wasn't on Betfair. Is that it? Or...
Maybe I'm getting confused, but I thought it was Betfair because I got an email off them that basically said, like, we know you cashed out of a bet that you shouldn't have, but they'd betted one anyway, so we're letting you off with it kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I guess they're pretty strict on it.
Yeah. I wonder, you see, I'm backing 2 or more shots on target, so it's the bet hasn't come in already. He would still need another shot on target to win the bet, but the odds are definitely based on him not having any shot on target. The other thing is that the stat of them showing that he has had a shot on target could be wrong.
A lost leader.
I mean, Bet365 are showing that Hoffenheim have had 1 shot on target as well. It doesn't. I can't see if it says who anywhere, but I think 11 to 10 isn't bad for him to get 2 shots on target anyway. The way this game should go, and yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. I've only thrown a tenner on it just to kind of see
Yeah, test
how
it
it
out.
plays out.
Speaking of throwing
So,
tenors on,
let's see what happens.
we have a tenor on the 6-1 Ake that we read out between the three of us. So just a reminder, it's both teams to score in the Burton game, the Bruges game, and the Hoffenheim game. And if that comes in, we'll give the prize, so that'll be 60 quid, to one of our most active commenters across the various platforms tonight. So YouTube and Twitter, actually only the two streams tonight. So yeah, make sure to let us know in the comments what you're betting, what you're watching, what your thoughts are, and the most engaged will win that prize should the bet come in.
When the bet comes in.
When the bet comes in. Well, based on the recent streams, it is a win because we've actually been very profitable on these Friday nights over the last month or so.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no comments in at the minute, so get your comment in now, one of the people watching, and you could be on to the winner straight away.
Yeah, exactly. Nicely put, Gary. So while these matches have just kicked off and there's not a huge amount of action yet, we might go to you, Gary, to give us a quick run through your EFL picks for the weekend.
Yeah, so it's a nice juicy 18-1 Ake that I've picked out this weekend, but I think it has a pretty good chance. 3 home teams feature, which is always a nice bonus. You know, sometimes the right teams can be dodgy. The first leg is Millwall versus Luton. So Millwall started the season, like they started the season well, but you could also describe it as a slow start because they've just been drawing an awful lot of games. So they've only lost 2 of their 11 games this season, but I think there's been 6 draws in there. But the last 2 games they've won back-to-back victories. Probably didn't want the international break to come because they were just hitting a run of form and getting a bit of momentum behind them. But they're playing against the Luton team, who they're not going to be pushovers, but they are a lot better team at home at Kenilworth Road than they are away from home. So I think that this will be a fairly close affair with Millwall nicking it. If the odds, like I was expecting the odds to be about 4-5 for Millwall, and I probably would have left it alone, but they're 13-10, and I just couldn't pass that price up. I think it's a great price for a home team that don't lose that many. You're nearly guaranteed that they'll be in the game for the whole 90 minutes at least. And as I think they'll nick a winner. That
was one of the ones that we've talked about before on the stream, Gary, where the price just doesn't make sense to me. The way you described it, I agree with you. I was thinking 4-5, even 8-11. But to be a good bit outside of evens, it just seems like very juicy. So happy to get on that. I'm going to back that as a single myself over the weekend. Like
I think probably what's against them is they don't score that many. I think they average about a goal a game, so they've played 11 games this season. They've probably only scored 11 goals in all of those. Right. And I think 2 or 3 of those were against QPR to start the season. On day 1, that game was kind of a little bit of a goal fest. So that's probably what's putting the juice in the price. But as I said, after back-to-back victories, and I think they won both of those 1-0. I haven't got the stats in front of me, but they were low-scoring games anyway. They're only going to win with the odd goal. If you're backing them on the Bet365 looking for, go 2 goals up and to be in after 20 minutes and not to worry about it, it's not going to be that type of bet. But I think they will win. And then the second leg is Swindon Rochdale. So again, you could probably just back this based off the league table. Swindon are in 3rd, Rochdale are in 18th. Put that together, it's 21-20. Again, it's one of those you'd be looking at going just based on that alone.
That's a real hangover Saturday morning kind of bet. You're just lying there looking at the table, looking at the odds. You're not really sure what's going on, but you just pick 5 or 6 out. It's a great price.
It is. But again, if you look at Swindon, they've kind of hit a bit of form. They've won the last 2 games. They had 2 draws before that, so they're unbeaten in 4 games. The sticking point has been their home form. So they've only won 1 game at home this season. But they drew 2 or 3. So again, they're one of those teams that have been drawn. I think the fact that they've got the wins recently, they'll be able to kick on. And if you look at the squads, they have a far better team than Rochdale. So I think
Rochdale's form looks atrocious as well, right?
Yeah, they've lost the last 5, I think, haven't they?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Yeah.
So no, but the only thing, again, if you look at Rochdale's away form, it is all right. That way they're not that bad away from home. But again, if any team losing, I think the last 3 league games, but the last 5 in all competitions, you need to be backing against them. So taking Swindon there. The next is Port Vale versus Barrow. So again, another home team here. Port Vale featured in my bet last weekend. but I chose both teams to score in their match against Sutton. It ended up being like a thriller. I think it finished 4-3 to Sutton that day. Sutton are a decent team, so I don't think you can kind of take much away from Port Vale by narrowly losing that game. And before that, they'd won 4 on the bounce. So I expect them to have too much for Barrow, especially score and power. I can see that being probably a 3-1. Barrow will be in the game in the first half, and then Port Vale should pull away in the second. And then the last is Exeter versus Newport County. So Exeter, decent at home, usually score. They haven't been on the best run of form recently, a lot of draws. Newport are a decent team. They've scored in most of their away games this season. So both teams to score there at 9-10 seems like a good bet. Rounds off the ACA, and I said it's 18-1. So I don't really think there's any dodgy leg in there. Maybe the Millwall one, if it was, you might do a draw no bet in Millwall, but I think the others are fairly solid and 18-1. Hoping that we can notch another winner.
Yeah, we've had a great strike rate on the ACAs this season. Or certainly yourself and Dermot have in particular. Really, really, like way more than you probably expect. You'd probably expect to win that many in a season, never mind by October. So definitely going to back the ACA myself.
Yeah, like I've been a bit frustrated recently because I think I'd rather them to be really bad picks. Sorry, I'm just started flicking on to Betfair, and my both teams to score is up already after 8 minutes. So,
nice. No way.
It's a fairly good start for the ACA.
Jeez, that's some going.
But yeah, if the bets tomorrow can go like that, I'll be happy. But yeah, like the last couple of weeks, my bets out, like I've been doing like 4 falls, let's say, and I've been getting 2 winners and 2 draws. And that's really frustrating. I'd rather the teams were losing. Obviously you're always in it and you're getting a shout up until the end of the bet. But it just feels like I've been knocking on the door, and I'm hoping tomorrow is kind of the day that the door opens. So yeah, fingers crossed it can land.
I think we brushed over that win and bet in 8 minutes a bit too fast there, Gardy. So you just want to give us a recap what your bet was, because that's amazing. It's not,
so the bet was Burton versus Morecambe, both teams to score. I think we highlighted the fact that Morecambe are the entertainers. Again, 19 goals in 4 games, in 4 of the last 4 league games, and you've added in the cup game, it goes up to 23 goals in 5 games. Morecambe took the lead after 2 minutes, and then Burton equalised after 4. So it was in after 4 minutes, which is a fairly decent bet for an even money shot.
Easy money.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable.
The sticker didn't, put more on it now, but again, it brings I've done 2 bets on this. So I've done our treble as we posted it, which includes the both teams to score, but I've done that kicker one as well, which is Burton to win and both teams to score. So a Burton winner, or a Burton goal would make that look tasty, and they're 6-5 favourites at the minute. So fingers crossed that can land too.
Yeah, Brugge very nearly scored, by the way, in the Belgian game. Kind of a last minute clear. I wouldn't say off the line, but pretty close to off the line. So,
but I think there'll be. Sorry, I was just going to say, like as you alluded to, really what we need in that one is for Brugge to concede, right? We're pretty confident they're going to score at some point. So,
exactly going to say that. Yeah, what I want is them not to score first, because you can always there's always the issues in a confidence and the head goes down. You're away to the best team in the country. You might just kind of throw the towel in. So, yeah, hopefully they concede first, but that's the status there. So for anyone who's not familiar with what we do here, we have a website where we run through various bets every weekend. We've got an EFL expert, as Gary's just proven to us there with that bet. We have LaLiga, Circa, Ligue 1, loads of other sports, and we have weekly articles up there with our best bets, and then we sit down on a Friday night, we go through them, and we have live bets on whatever action is on. So tonight, like we said, PSG, Brugge, EFL, and everything else. So speaking of that, Slats, we're going to go over to you now and look at the next article on the site, which is the Serie A. So Enzo is our Serie A expert, and he's got a treble up for us this weekend as well.
Yeah, well, he's got 3 bets. He hasn't provided them, or they're not in the SRD selection as a treble. They're just 3 individual bets, but of course you could combine those if you fancied the 3 of them, and they all look pretty solid. In fairness, the first 2 are match results, and he's mainly going against Lazio and Roma's poor form, as he alludes to in the headline of the article, the tough tests for both Roman clubs. So, they're kind of poor form, missing a few players, that sort of thing. He's kind of backing against them, but he also mentions, so the first game is Lazio versus Inter, and he talks through how Inter have, been better than he expected, sitting in third spot, 4 points behind second place, and pretty decent on the road. Lazio haven't been great, so just looks like a decent shout there for Inter to win away at 5-4. There's also a mention of over 2.5 goals based on, I think each of the last 7 games, 5 of them have gone over 2.5. So the odds of 2-1 or 21-10 when you include the over 2.5 is pretty tempting, but just a straight win for Inter at 5-4 does look pretty decent.
I think Enzo would have to have a real confidence in Inter to tip them as well. I don't think he's a big fan, so
the bias would normally be.
He must be hot on him this week.
The second game is Juventus versus Roma, and I think the biggest point he makes in that is just like if you saw 2 years ago Juventus priced at 10-11 to beat anyone at home, but to win this game at home, you'd be shocked seeing them at that price. But it just shows how poor they've been so far this season. But then recent performances are kind of bringing them back into the mix a bit. And, if they can rack up some wins, they could be back in the title race. 10-11 just looks a decent price based on that recent form. And, Roma's form hasn't been that great themselves. They're kind of waiting to see if Tammy Abraham's going to be available. And if he's missing, that'd be a big loss for them going into this fixture. So 10-11 is looking decent there. And then the third one
just
is
before
the game
you move
between...
off that one, we have a detailed breakdown on that game, which we'll cut to later in the show. We're calling it the cheat sheet section, which is a bit of a tongue teaser actually, but we will go through that in a lot more detail and our kind of key picks for that game. So if you're interested in that game, make sure to stick around. We'll come back to that later on in the show.
And the third game up is Venezia versus Fiorentina. Rather than going for a result or anything there, it's just backing Dusan Vlahovic as anytime goal scorer at odds of 8-5, which does look pretty decent based on his form. He's got 4 goals in the league this season, and he got a brace in the midweek game for Serbia, the internationals against Azerbaijan. So he's been on decent form playing against the leaky defense. 8-5 just seems very generous for anytime goal scorer. So I'm not sure what the 3 of those would combine to, but I'd say it'd be somewhere in the region of 10 or 15-1 if you did want to do a treble. But individually, they all look like very solid bets. So,
Enzo's been a bit like Az with the EFLs lately, and he's been really knocking on the door without maybe the Acca wins you had earlier in the season, Gary. But like really close calls and just kind of getting shafted a bit. So.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him because I said they're decent calls that are happening. So the tide has to turn sometime, and hopefully it's this weekend. It look like decent picks. They'll definitely be backing. Yeah,
and we had that with Dermot in the League One earlier in the season too, where he was great calls and just very, very unlucky not to land the Acas, and then the floodgates open, and he seems to be winning them nearly every week now. So it can turn.
Speaking of floodgates opening, Hoffenheim have just taken the lead in Germany. So that's decent for the over 2.5 part of the bet. I was getting a bit worried because it was just on the half-hour mark. So, you don't want to be getting to half-time looking for 3 goals in the second half. So it's good for that to be on the board. And then just for anybody who did the 12-1 Burton to win and both teams to score, part of that Acca, Burton are winning 2-1 after 13 minutes. So that's looking pretty well as well.
Yeah, Brugge are all over Kortrijk here. Kortrijk actually had the best of the first 5 minutes. They had a shot, maybe 2 shots. All the possession, I think it was like 70% possession. Not my favorite statistic, but it shows how much the ball they had. And I wouldn't say they've had a ball since. Everything is just a hoofed clearance or a Brugge shot. So very lopsided at the minute.
Yeah, and I did mention earlier on that I had a bet in. I'm actually watching West Brom versus Birmingham here. So I did a same game multi. So Callum Robinson was obviously on top form for the Republic of Ireland in the international break. I've done him for 2 shots on target. I think he was 7-5 for 2 shots on target. I've gone with over 2.5 goals in the game because West Brom is kind of an explosive team. And I've gone for Jake Livermore to be shown a card. So Livermore has 4 already this season. I think he was like 2-1. So if you put it together, it's a 12.5 to 1 treble in a bet builder. So I've done that. I said I'll be watching along and cheering that on.
Very good. Speaking of watching along, we've got Dihia Saibi in the chat there saying hi. So hello right back to you. Let us know what games you're looking at, and we'll have a little conversation about whatever you're watching. And let us know what you think.
At the moment, Dia is the winner of the 60 quid if the bet comes up. So I don't know why you want to give a run through of that for anybody new who's joined, Albie.
Yeah, so for anyone watching, we've been running through the various bets that we have on tonight, but the advertised, so we'll get it back on screen for you now. The advertised ACCA, we call it our live action ACCA. It's obviously the 6 to 1 treble of the games that are on tonight. We've backed that ourselves, and it's looking pretty good. Slats, Gary's leg's already in. Plenty of action in Bruges, but no goals yet. And Slats is halfway there. So when that wins,
not quite halfway. I need over 2.5 goals as well.
Slats is a third of the way there. And when we get those up, whoever is the most active commenter on the show, which we'll choose one of you, and you'll win that money. So stay active in those comments.
He is asking, Gary, maybe this is one for you. Do you think Drogheda are going to win?
Drogheda,
Not sure.
I'm flicking to our plan. I haven't checked the fixtures. I did think that Waterford were a big price, LB. I know you are a Waterford fan. They were 6-4 at home to Finn Harps, and I know they've been a really good run of form recently. So that did stick out in the League of Ireland when I looked at it earlier on. But I'll just flick in to see who.
Drogheda are home to Longford. They're 4-6, so they're obviously.
Like Longford have been the whipping boys this season. So yeah, you'd expect they're practically relegated at this stage. So you'd expect Drogheda to win that fairly easily.
There's your answer, Saibi. Drogheda will win, very likely, and Waterford are a good price in there as well. I've backed Waterford to win on both teams to score, because as good as Waterford have been, they do concede, which is 4-1, by the way.
That's decent. Did we not make a pact that we were going to wait to halftime to bet on Waterford forevermore after?
Hopefully it's still 0-0 or even 1-0 down at halftime, and we'll lump on. But that was in that 4-4. I couldn't remember, but I checked it while we were talking. So I do have Burton in there, Gary, at your recommendation. Let me get it back again. I'm going to close it again. Yeah, Burton, PSG, Waterford, and Bruges, all to win and all to concede along the way, which is obviously a very long shot. But like I said, it's 175 to 1. So. Looking good so far.
You that in after one leg is up already.
Yeah, 3 legs and something else I can't remember. Oh, that leg that's winning. Yeah, that's the one I've got. Cool. What else is going on at the minute? Nothing in the PSG game yet. So hopefully they bounce back from their defeat last week. We might go to you. I go to me now for the LaLiga. So we mentioned Enzo, our Serie A expert, and Gary's our EFL expert. We've got Savage, who does our La Liga coverage, so all things Spanish football. And he has a few really good, interesting previews up for us this weekend. He has a slightly different style than the other articles on the site, so it's very much worth reading. And a couple of, you could call them upsets. He likes Valencia to beat Barcelona this weekend. He goes into very good detail as to why he thinks that will happen. Valencia are 11-2 to win that game. And I think Barcelona have lost 3 of their last 4. They're in awful form. A couple of their defenders are out injured. It's not looking great for them. Now, he's actually tipped up Valencia double chance at 7-5. Obviously, a much safer bet, so they can win or draw. And then there's a few other ones in there as well. Sevilla at 6-5. That's another game. I don't know much about Spanish football, I must admit. But based on the way the preview was written, I thought they'd be odds on sort of 4-5, 8-11, that range, but they're 6-5. So we've gone for that. And then there's also the Sociedad Mallorca game, when Sociedad, he thinks they're going to win and win comfortably, but it's 2-5. So instead of going for a win there, he's named Oyarzabal to score any time at 11-10. Now he's in red hot form after the international. So it's a pretty juicy looking treble. So I'm actually on the treble already myself. And I've actually combined it with a few of the other picks from around the site. So optimistic for this one.
Yeah, no, looks good. Definitely going to go for the juice on that. Leave the double chance behind.
Yeah, I was really tempted by it myself to just go in with the 11-2 because like Barcelona don't look that like themselves at all this year, and plenty of reasons why. But yeah, I think it's a great chance for Valencia to get a win.
It's something we've spoken about as well, LB, when the big teams take a turn, go downhill in their standard, it takes a long time before the odds catch up on that. And we spoke about it after Ferguson left United and they went through a few seasons and they were still, underpriced for every game pretty much, and they just didn't have the same winning record. They were losing a lot of games. And that's where Barcelona are at the moment. If you just backed against them, every week for the last 2 months, you'd be doing very well out of it. And you might as well kind of just, I think, keep continuing that until they turn things around, because the odds aren't going to just dramatically drop. And we've spoken about it before. You just get people not really thinking about these games, putting together a 10-leg accumulator for the weekend, and they just see Barcelona, odds on, and they go, yeah, I'll throw that in there.
I'm looking at it here. Barcelona's last 6 matches in from furthest back to most recent, so reverse order. 3-0 loss to Bayern, 1-1 draw with Granada, 0-0 draw with Cadiz. They beat Levante, who are pretty poor. 3-0 loss to Benfica, 2-0 loss to Atletico. So 4 of those games they haven't even scored in.
They're definitely not a team to be backing.
Levante are in the relegation zone. A bit of a strange one here in the Brugge game. I said Brugge are all over them. Ball crossed into the box. The keeper tried to punch it out, and it was a really kind of weak punch, and it just bounced into the box. So we went for it again, and one of the Brugge players basically booted him in the head, and looks like they've knocked him out. So hopefully he's okay, but it's looking like a strange one.
As Dia has pointed out in the comments, Waterford have scored. So thanks for the
lovely stuff. I wasn't watching that. Hopefully you got on that one.
There was a fist bump from me while LB was walking through the La Liga, so I had noticed that.
I was walking through the Liga, watching this fella writhing on the ground after getting a knee in the face. I was kind of throwing me, but delighted now with that Waterford score. That's another one in reverse, lads. Like, Waterford were terrible tail end of last season and all the start of this season. So bad. Like, looked nailed on for relegation, changed the manager, and within 2 weeks completely turned the ship around. Like I said, the only 2 losses they've had since he came in are away to the 2 big in Dublin, or the big 2 in Dublin. So hopefully now this can continue. And hopefully manage
the odds continue as well. I think that's the main thing for me.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I couldn't believe they were 6-4 when I looked earlier. Dia, let us know in the comments if you got on there. Hopefully you did, and you doubled it up with Drogheda.
While you're there to hear, we'd really appreciate it if you could like and follow us, because it makes a big difference to what we do here. We try to share a bit of knowledge and a bit of entertainment with people on a Friday night. So we really appreciate a subscription and a follow there while you're here with us. And anybody else who might be watching as well, feel free to do that.
Yeah, all the lurkers who got on and just haven't put a comment in.
I must admit, though, my ratio of watching videos to comment on videos must be about as skewed as it can possibly be. I very rarely comment on things. I don't know why.
But you should be.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the wrong here.
Comment away.
The keeper looks okay here in Belgium. He's back on his feet and they're playing on. So maybe he was exaggerating it a bit. Joe is not sure when someone looks to be knocked out. Is he the right person to make the decision whether he should play on or not? But he's playing away.
They haven't brought any real restrictions into soccer on that the way they have in rugby, have they? Where there has to be kind of an independent medic making a...
There is a doctor, but it's very, very kind of sloppy. I remember Kortrijk had a great shot there. I remember last season, Arsenal were playing against Wolves, and the Mexican player Jimenez got very suspiciously hit in the head by David Luiz. Actually fractured his skull. He was out for the rest of the season. He's only just back very recently. But David Luiz was knocked out as well, and he was clearly concussed. He didn't know where he was. And he played on for I think he played on until half time. I think Wolves might have scored twice in the meantime. And then he didn't come back out, and then he didn't play for about a month. He obviously got absolutely scrambled. But because he kind of big, strong fella, people just let him play on. So
Dia's liked and subscribed there. So thanks very much for that. We appreciate the support, and hopefully we can help you out with a few winning bets along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone watching
can also help us out.
Yeah. And anyone watching, like we said at the start of the show, we have the Friday night ACCA on, which we'll get back up here for you now just to see it. So it's a treble of both teams to score. It's the Bruges game, the Burton game, and the Hoffenheim game. And if it wins, we will give the winning bet to one of our most active commentators or commenters, I suppose, across the various channels. And at the minute, you are clearly in the lead there. So I'm going to continue.
I was hoping when Hoffenheim scored that it might kick on with a second goal in this game before halftime, but it's actually looked pretty quiet. And there hasn't been much action since that goal. So it's 43 minutes now. It's probably going to stick that way going into halftime.
One just before halftime would be really nice, though. Like, you know,
it'd be ideal, especially a Cologne goal would be absolutely perfect. Like, and you just need one more either direction going into the second half. We can't all be like Gary with his bets coming in after 4 minutes, unfortunately. So I have to ride this one out into the second half.
There's probably 4 minutes for the Burton one and even less for the Waterford one. So
that's why they call him 4 Minute Gary, all right. He's great to get the job done.
I wish it was 4 minutes, but
I'm just looking here, by the way. A goal in the first half of this Bruges game is now out to 5-6 with Bet365. It could even be higher on the exchange. And there's been 9 shots. It's still very, very open. I think I'm going to get a tenner on that myself, just a small first half bet here.
15 minutes to go. Yeah, that does seem pretty reasonable. And there does tend to be first half goals in the Friday Belgium games, I find it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to get on that myself.
So it's the first half goal in the Bruges game, is it?
Yeah.
What price are we looking at?
It's 10-11 on Bet365 now. It could be higher on the exchange.
Yeah, it should be above evens on the... I'll let you know here when I get it up on the exchange, but I'd expect it to be above evens.
I don't know what shot. Awful shot there from Kortrijk.
Yeah, it's just 2.04, so just a little above evens for that.
For anyone still watching us, Slats is a big Betfair exchange proponent. He loves the extra bit of value you get over there. So there you go. And you see it.
You do, yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth considering. They take a bit of commission from your winnings, but if you update your account, I think the default is 5% of your winnings, but you can adjust that to 2% of your winnings, and what you lose out on is any kind of offers from them. You know, they kind of offer money back specials and that sort of thing. So you lose that, but you only pay 2% commission. And
do you know especially what I find the Betfair specials aren't even that good. Like, I don't think I've ever availed of one, or certainly not in the last 2 years. So I've actually done what you've done. I've moved over to the exchange account or whatever they call it, but I still don't use it that much now, I must admit. But
I'm contemplating Bruges to be winning at halftime instead, because I mean, if a team is likely to score, it's Bruges, isn't it?
No, yeah, actually, I looked at that too. It's 6-4 now. I couldn't talk you out of that. I mean, it's a strange difference in the odds. I would have thought, like, Kortrijk's 4 shots haven't even been that good. So, yeah, probably a good call, Gary. Extra bit of juice there.
Given that they're 1-3 to win the game outright. They have a dangerous free kick here. I don't know whether you're watching.
Yeah.
So.
It was actually a very dangerous attack before your man got hacked down as well. So.
Can you see where that free kick is from, Elby? Because I always question
5 yards in front of the D, slightly to the left.
Okay, so that is pretty
It's a legitimately dangerous free kick, yeah. Not like he's standing in the centre circle and the ball is just closer to the goal. Yeah, so anyone watching the stream on the screen, you can see where the ball is. It is actually a very accurate placing of that ball for this free kick. So, and goal! What a goal! Oh my god!
I could see it come up there.
Oh my god! What an absolute rocket!
That's unreal. I got on at the 17-10 anyway. So,
class. Yeah. I was actually going to say, before you guys all jumped on the same bet, I was going to use this as the first bet roulette bet of the season. We bring it back up because it just looked like such a good one. Probably can't do it now because it's already come in.
You definitely can't after time your bet roulette bet.
Yeah. Gary's was Burton. Gary's was Burton to score in the Burton
corner. Like.
Oh, that's an unbelievable. It's the best free kick I've seen this season.
Yeah.
It was still curling even further. Like it was going, out the side back corner almost when it hit the. Oh, amazing. Yeah, great goal.
We probably wanted to go a couple of goals up and then get complacent for Kortrijk to get back into it, would we?
Yeah, the thing is, Bruges are real sloppy at the back. Like, I can even get their scores up here while we're talking, and like they're not they're not really like, I mean, they've already coughed up 4 shots to Kortrijk here, so like they're not. Their dominance isn't like, you'd see City in the Premier League who just suffocate teams. Like they just out-muscle them, really, is probably the way I describe it. I mean, yeah, their last 5, they've conceded. Before that, 4 of their last 5. Before that, yeah, I mean, there you go. It's just the pattern, and the sort of friendlies there, so skip those. Back into last season, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6 of their last 8 games of the season, both teams scored. Like they do tend to concede pretty regularly. So, I take a 4-1 or a 1-1 here at this stage. I don't really mind.
Yeah, I said once we get that goal, like, because that's it. We're waiting on 3 goals at the minute, for the Aka, so that'll be fairly good.
Yeah, that's not bad when you put it that way. Like not even at halftime in Belgium and just at halftime in Germany.
You're right, Stevie. What a screamer you said. That's exactly what it was. A screamer. And we've got Mohamed Lutfilla. You've gone, very excited looking, there. So I presume you like Bruges in this game as well. So let us know what you've backed. And
well, I'm hoping he was on.
Got on either the first half goal or the Bruges lead.
So let us know, Mohammed. Did you make money off that goal, or are you just celebrating because you're a Bruges fan?
Big Bruges fan, yeah. Like, every time we're watching Bruges on the show, I kind of think, back to my story about getting smoked out in Bruges by the Flares. But then I feel like I tell this story every second Friday now, because Bruges always seem to play on a Friday.
Yeah, it's good when you get to know those teams. It's like West Brom, I think I've played on the last 3 of the last 4 streams, but obviously the one that they missed was the international week last week. So it's actually good when you can see the same teams over and over again. And obviously we have the League of Ireland coming to an end, which is kind of a staple Friday night. Yeah.
Mohammed, you confirmed there it was a first half win for Bruges. So, what is there now? 10 minutes for that to come in. Looking pretty likely now, I must say.
What did you get for that, Gary? Did you say 17-10?
17-10, yeah.
That's decent. Yeah, that's
crazy for a team that were 1-3 to win the game, but to score that one of those goals in the next 15 minutes were 17-10.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I don't want to count my chickens because obviously there's still 10 minutes left in the first half. But it did seem like a ridiculous price at the time. So
we put our Kortrijk cheers on ice now until the 46th minute.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless
Bruges can go 2-0 up, we can start cheering on Kortrijk.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very good. So while we're waiting with the time to halftime there, some of the other weekend articles that we have up on the site. So Slats, we'll go back to you. So League One, we mentioned it earlier in the show, our Ligue 1. Dermot is our expert there. On a great run this season. You looked at those bets for us, Slats.
Yeah, his P&L is crazy so far this season. He's been banging them in, and even the accumulators that he hasn't managed to pull off. Like last week, there was like a consolation goal in the 92nd minute or something that lost it.
Awful.
It was a 1-0 bet. They were coasting 2-0, game nearly over. The first 2 legs of the Aka had already come in, and then just this late consolation, nothing goal. It's probably just that Aka is the only thing in the world that was affected by the goal. That's certainly how it feels. What I like with Dermo's Akas as well, and I don't know if you've kind of noticed this, but he tends to vary the markets within the accumulator. So, like for example, this week now his accumulator, it's over 2.5 in one game. It's a win -1 in another game, and then it's both teams to score in the third game. So it's a nice kind of variation of markets, and I think it's kind of reflective of the research and analysis he does, where he's picking out the specific market that suits his read on those games, and it's been working so far. So long may it continue. The first game up is Clermont versus Lille. And the kind of justification for this is, firstly, Mohamed Bayo for Clermont has been on pretty decent form, scoring and, coming up against the shaky defence. But on top of that, Clermont have been conceding themselves, and they tend to concede most of the, attacks or certainly shots on target that the opposition get seem to result in goals. So they're not very solid at the back themselves, and that's ideal really for an over 2.5 bet. I guess possibly you could justify both teams to score there, but I wouldn't be veering off what Dermot's gone with. I guess maybe the chances that Clermont could win 3-0 or 4-0, is a possibility there where you'd win on the over 2.5. So that's the pick in the first one. The second is Nice away to Troyes, which is 17th versus third place, and as Dermo says, he'd be expecting Nice to be a 1-3 shot here, but they're priced at 5-6, which just seems crazy value. And like we spoke about earlier, when all you do is just look at the league standings, third away to 17th, you're back in third at 5-6 there all day. But Dermo's gone one further. He thinks Nice are going to win pretty comfortably here. So Nice -1. So they have to win by 2 goals or more.
I never like -1s myself. They always feel I've had bad experiences with them. But who am I to doubt Dermot's league on knowledge? So yeah.
And sorry, people probably see me with a big smile on my face. I just have to get this out there. Slat's pronunciation of Tra, they'll be parking the horse instead of parking the bus.
I'll move on. I don't even know what way you pronounced it, and that doesn't sound right to me. I would never say it that way. So
if we have any native or proficient French speakers in the comments, let us know about either of the lads' French pronunciations here.
Well, it's definitely not Troy. I'm fairly sure of that.
That's the Colin Farrell movie, is it?
It's what? Sorry?
Nothing. I'm not repeating that joke. No way. It was bad enough the first time.
So on to the third game is Strasbourg versus Saint Etienne, and it's just a both teams to score is the pick here. Just with both sides who win or draw a lot of games, they tend to get on the score sheet. Not the top teams in the league, but they tend to score and then likely to concede. The stat Dermo's given is that 78% of the games involving these teams have had both teams to score, which is a pretty high rate, individually. But when those two sides are then coming together, you're certainly expecting goals at both ends there. So that treble, the 2.5 in the Clermont game is evens. The Nice -1 is 12-5, and the both teams to score is 8-11, and those combined give odds of just under 10-1. So I would certainly be getting on that. I was eager to see if he was going to include the PSG game in his picks, and by the look of what's gone on so far, he probably was wise to avoid it because there's been very little action in it.
PSG are one of those teams that I feel like I never called the game right. Like, they probably struggle in 10 games a season. That's the 10 times I backed them. I feel like I just never get the read on those games right at all.
So
I've definitely had a few back in goals, and they've gone out and just won 1-0 against a weak team, and you're like, they're all happy they've got the win, but my bet hasn't come in. Like, so yeah, they're a dodgy one.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't know whether you have access to typing into the chat there, but Dia's second language is French, so he's going to be able to confirm the pronunciation of Tra.
Yeah.
So let you say it again. What you think it is, Gary?
Tra. So I would say there's definitely no Y-E-S. So
the French team, spelled Troyes. So
you just put it in the comments there, just so you can see it. So Troyes. Although we do have a slight problem now that he's going to have to type back this French pronunciation, which is going to be pretty difficult.
No. All I want him to say is who's closer. Am I closer with Troy, or is Gary closer with Tra, or whatever half a word he's spitting out there?
Yeah, that's a good point.
100% going to be me.
Oh, Slats with Troy or Gaz with
Tra.
Which sounds like the French word for
French
three.
For number 3, like.
Yeah.
No, that's trois, isn't it? So it's all different, man.
It's all different.
My ear is not finely tuned enough to hear the differences between those. I can barely hear the difference between.
Go up here and see.
Yeah.
We're all waiting.
By the way, Kortrijk had a great chance, and kind of a last-ditch tackle from Brugge. A guy stuck out his leg behind him and intercepted the ball. Otherwise, would pass into the box for basically a free shot on goal. And it kind of gives me a little bit of confidence that Brugge could still concede here. And then Kortrijk then, the guy just kicked out after that, picked up their third booking of the first half. Brugge just got their first one, so feisty enough game. And what are we now, drifting up to 43 minutes, so the first half wins are looking pretty solid.
I haven't mentioned...
It's pronounced like the number 3 in French, so Gaz is correct. So the first winner of the night, well, actually the second winner for Gaz. So thanks to the update.
That would be the third winner of the night, I think.
And Slats, hang your head in shame. It's not Troy. What kind of fool would think it was pronounced Troy anyway?
I just go with my phonetical approach, but I'm just raging. So the Gary's got it right rather than me getting it wrong. I don't mind that I've got it wrong. I'm just pissed off that Gary's got it right.
yeah. That would have been the perfect answer.
You're both a mile off, I'd be absolutely fine with that.
Yeah. But there's no confusion there. It's like the French word for 3. Gaz is correct. So thank you very much for that. Really appreciate the confirmation.
Your checks in the post. Yeah.
Yeah. How are the League of Ireland games looking, guys?
So there was a bet, and this is massive after time. But
God! Anyone who's watching us, by the way, get used to that with Gaz. He likes to tell you the winners about 15 minutes after.
Don't worry about it. Honestly, because it probably never happened anyway.
So obviously, Shelbourne are my team. For anybody who doesn't know, Shelbourne are my team.
Best team in the second division.
They won the league 2 weeks ago.
That is a generous way of describing it. They won,
but they've never been good in playing Cobh away. And earlier on, I looked at it, and Shells are 1-2. I think Cobh are 3-1, maybe a bit more, and Cobh are 2-0 up. So I'm fairly sick about that, both from the fact that I'm a Shelbourne fan and the fact that I toyed with recommending a bet on them, even though I couldn't do it myself, and the fact that it's coming up. But in the other games, in the Premier Division, Waterford is still 1-0 up. Shamrock Rovers are winning 1-0. It's only 28 minutes into that. That was a later kickoff. Dundalk are 1-0 up against Bows, and the other 2 games are 0-0. So Shells are losing 2-0. Bray are winning 1-0. Galway are beating Wexford 2-1. Athlone are beating Treaty 1-0, which is a shock. And UCD are beating Cork 1-0.
And Brugge are winning 2-0. They just scored a second, so that's
boom.
Wrapped up for the halftime, guys.
Nice.
That's me and Mohammed. Easy money. Fair play, Mohammed.
Yeah, I'm taking full credit for that, by the way. Pointed it out, but we'll let that slide. That's 3 shots on target for Brugge and 2 goals, so I'm not really sure if that keeper did recover from that knee to the face. See the replay of it here. He's offside.
I'm going to go for a double here that's in play at the moment in the Dutch 2. I'm just going to back 2 goals in the Graafschap Eindhoven. It's 0-0, but there's been a ton of chances. It's about 60 minutes now. Almeria is a bit earlier. They're away to Den Bosch. It was 1-0 at halftime. So 2 more on that. So over 1.5 in the first game is about 7-1, a little over. So yeah, I haven't really been keeping that much track on Dutch 2 tonight. Almeria played again on Monday night, and I've spoken about backing them a few times for over 2.5 in both teams to score. I think it was 0-0 at half time, and it was 2-1 by about 60 minutes or so. So once again, they had both teams to score over 2.5. They were 1-0 at half time, but I just fancy 2 more goals in that game, given how their season has gone so far. And then the Eindhoven game, there was a goal disallowed a few minutes ago, but both sides have just had a ton of shots. And there's only a little over 20 minutes left in it. So, that's where there's decent odds coming from. But if 1 goal came in the next 10 minutes, I definitely would fancy a second coming after it.
Yeah. I like the logic there. It's gone halftime in Bruges, and that bet is an official winner there. So we actually have some run of live winners, like bets that we're picking out live and winning on the show. So I really like the sort of indication that you have a good read on the games when you're watching them.
Definitely makes things easier in terms of betting. Like, if you can see what's going on, you're always going to get better value than somebody betting blind on a match.
This week has been the anomaly because I actually got on this week, like the last 2 weeks, when you lads were celebrating your 50-1 winners, and I was sitting there sucking my thumb. So, we've been on a decent run.
Yeah. I flicked over to the PSG game here at halftime in Bruges, and the 90 seconds I've seen have been pretty much all Angers. So
Angers.
They are. Let me check the goals here.
I'm fairly sure it's Angers, but
yeah,
he corrected himself. I think. Right.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to redeem a bit of credibility.
It's going to be pouncing on everybody now for the rest of the season. Every mispronunciation. Goal is 13-8, but there's 15 minutes, a little bit less than 15 minutes here. I'm going to give it 1 or 2 more minutes to see how it looks, but I always kind of feel that, when the underdog is attacking, there's always more chance of a goal because, some like the sleeping giant might wake up type of thing. So, give me a couple of minutes before I make a call there.
Yeah, so an early goal in Hoffenheim at the start of the second half, they must be nearly ready to start coming out again. An early goal there, and we'd be fairly well on for the treble to land.
Yeah, it'd be great if Cologne can come out and score one.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
It should be kicking off again pretty soon. How's you the same game multi on the West Brom Birmingham game, Gary? Right? Any joy in that so far?
No, not to me, because I've over 2.5 goals, and there's been a good bit of like going out action, but it's still 0-0 in that. Livermore hasn't really. He's usually good for putting in just a really, really like cynical challenge, and he hasn't done that either. And Calvin Robinson has 1 shot, but it wasn't on target, so a bit to go, but it's still only 30 minutes gone. So fingers crossed they can. It'd be good to either get a goal or a Robinson shot on target before halftime. That would kind of put it live for the second half. But if there's no action in the next 15 minutes, it's kind of probably done with. So
he has come back, by the way. The pronunciation of that team is ANG with an accent, which I presume is Angers or something to that effect. So the R and the S don't get pronounced. That's just make a note of that. I have put a goal. I've put my profit from the Bruges bet on a first half goal in the PSG game, at 2-1. So,
Angers have just scored.
Oh, boom, 1-0. Perfect.
You didn't give us enough time to get on that, LB.
Do you know what? I put the bet on, and then it just updated to 1.5 goals. And I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. But I hope my bet went in as. Do you know Bet 365 have that little magical line move that they don't even tell you about?
Yeah, I hate when that happened. It actually happened last week to me, and I was absolutely sick as a dog when I checked.
Yeah, no, I can see it there.
I got a quid back when I was expecting like 20 quid or something. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, I think they call it like game goals is their market, and it just moves all the time. And if you pick that by accident instead of like the actual over 2.5 one, it it looks the same, but you pick it in the wrong section. They just move it on you.
Sick with that now. I didn't even get a chance to get on.
I'd say I had it on 30 seconds, not even 10 seconds before the goal. That's pretty happy with that. So I had £9.10 on, and it paid 18.20, exactly 2-1. So nice. That's actually good because the bet I called out early on that had PSG and both teams to score, and obviously the risk in those is really that the away team doesn't score at all. So
yeah,
if PSG win now, that you know what I mean, they had to win anyway. So
yeah, it looked like PSG weren't that much really so far, but yeah, surely conceding like that now will put a bit of fire in the belly.
I'm gonna check if this bet has cash out actually. No, suspended. So yeah, Brugge and both teams to score, Burton and both teams to score, Waterford and both teams to score, and PSG and both teams to score. Bit tricky. 2 PSG goals, a Finn Harps goal, a Waterford goal, and a Kortrijk goal. But like I said, that is what is that? It's actually 145-1. Sorry, no, I think I said 175 earlier. But
I'll take it.
That's going to be minus a tenner. That's what it's going to be.
Complaining anyway.
Sure why Bruges has gone suspended here at half time.
I was just going to say that as well. Yeah, it seems strange.
It's not suspended on Bet365.
Was
it
it
went
not?
suspended on Betfair for a couple of minutes there, but it's back now. Speaking of being back, Hoffenheim and Cologne are out for the second half, so 2 minutes in. So
I saw that. Yeah, Cologne had a corner there, and after a minute or so, but nothing came of it.
Yeah, we could really do with a Cologne goal before kind of the hour mark there. It gives us 30 minutes.
Certainly before 70 minutes, but yeah, before 60 would be ideal, all right?
Yeah.
Any German speakers in the comments, by all means, let us know about that Cologne pronunciation.
Well, it's Cologne in English, but Cologne, I assume.
Oh, Hoffenheim just scored, so at least if Cologne score now, that's the bet in.
So we need a Cologne goal and a Kortrijk goal. That's it. We win. And when we mean wins.
For my personal bet, I only need one more goal, so it can be Hoffenheim either, because like Betfair didn't have the over 2.5 on both teams to score a market, but obviously I'm cheering on the juicier one.
Yeah. D in the comments has asked us what site do we use to watch these games. So I'm watching Bruges in Bet365. So that's what I do a lot of my betting, and they show a lot of leagues. They're showing the PSG game and the Bruges game tonight. So that's where I got that.
Betfair are showing the PSG game as well. Some I think some of the bookies you need to have money in your account to be able to watch a game, and I think others they certainly used to. Maybe they've all got rid of it. That you used to have a bet on, or I certainly remember that more for the horse race. And even if you just put €1 on the race, you were able to watch it.
No, that's gone now because there was.
Yeah, I do think that is gone. Yeah,
responsible gambling and all that. I think it was. They were saying it was kind of forcing people to bet, but you have to have money in the account, and then they let you.
Which is far more responsible. But yeah, no, I'm watching on Betfair, so I'm watching the Bruges game on Betfair, and then I have my iPad here with West Brom game just on Sky Sports. So yeah, mix and match. We wouldn't condone illegal streams, obviously.
Never. Some commentary I can't even understand, but no, it's not dodgy at all. Yeah, PSG, I feel like often when PSG are losing, they look very, well, I don't know what the word is, kind of like stroppy, and you can see the players here are already kind of having a go at each other a bit, and then, I don't know.
Yeah, it's that kind of Galacticos. Real Madrid used to have that back in the day. They get a bit, as you said, stroppy, and they'd be fighting with each other and giving out to each other. They're not passing the ball and things. It's 3-0 to Hoffenheim.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Gary, because we both backed it on Betfair, we actually had to just back to over 2.5, which was obviously worse odds, but we were limited. So at least that's in for our own personal bets. But for the official ACA, we still need a Cologne goal. That third goal doesn't really make any difference.
No, but it probably, well, I suppose, hopefully Hoffenheim get a bit kind of complacent now and Cologne go for the consolation.
Those can kind of go either way. Like Cologne could drop the heads and just give up on the match now, or Hoffenheim could take the foot off the gas and leak a goal, because they're coasting 3-0. But hopefully it'll go that way. Yeah,
all the pressure now is on LB selection here because my two bets at the moment are relying on a Kortrijk goal. So if that comes in and Kortrijk goal anytime, and then if Burton can hold on, that'll land the treble that we all have, but also the one that I called out of Burton to win on both teams to score, which was 12-1. So fingers crossed, Kortrijk can get that goal.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident about that. A full half, like I said, Bruges they don't seem to be hugely hot on defending anyway, and 2-0 up. You know what I mean? You're not going to be as, like I told you, Kortrijk got a really good chance, and then there was just like a kind of a last-ditch tackle to stop a free shot in the box. You're not going to be as inclined to make those when you're 2-0 up, so pretty confident.
Yeah, I'm actually in this West Brom game. Like Birmingham are looking like a little bit of a bet here. Like I think West Brom are priced up at like 8-15 to win the game, but like they're not having it all their own way. So I wouldn't put you off a bet. They're 11-2 Birmingham. I think that's a bit big of a price. I'm gonna let it go till half time, and if I can get kind of 7-1, I'd be happy with it. But they're definitely not out of this. I'm actually hoping that West Brom lose, because anybody who's been reading the site for a long time will have seen the season preview, and in that I recommended Bournemouth to win the league. So they're currently top of the league, and West Brom are second. So if West Brom can lose today and Bournemouth win, I think they open up something like a 5-point gap at the top.
Nice.
Which would be nice to have. So yeah, but as I said, I think Birmingham, they're well in this game. They're definitely not a 5-1 shot or whatever. Like,
yeah, it's a big prize for a 0-0 at half time, or nearly at half time. You know, always surprises me when you see ones like that.
Yeah, it's strange. Like, I know Birmingham have been on a great form recently. They started the season well, but kind of tailed off in recent weeks. But I said there's been goal mount action, but it's been at both ends. It hasn't just been one-way traffic, so they're definitely overpriced. I see Dia is in celebrating the third goal as well for Hoffenheim. So Dia, let us know if you backed over 2.5 or what your bet was there, or if you're just cheering it on for the fact that if her bet lands, you win your 60 quid.
PSG just scored. It's still
Nice.
suspended, so before people get their hopes up, because we often see it where the goal comes up on the betting sites and then
he does look offside to me there.
Yeah, it's probably going to VAR anyway. Yeah.
It's actually a really good header. A really
And
good looping
Herrera,
header.
was it?
Yeah. But he was offside, and then the defender kind of ran behind him, which made him look onside, but he was offside when it was crossed. So I think that's going to be overruled.
It looks like they're going to VAR anyway.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah,
Back 1-0, so over.
Yeah.
He was very, very clearly offside. Yeah.
Still, at least they've started going for it a bit more anyway.
They're nearly 2-1 with Bet365 here.
Yeah, they're 70-10 on Betfair. That seems a big price.
Yeah, I might actually do a double. A PSG Birmingham double be about go to 20-1. Into 13-8 now, so we'll give that a minute, let it drift again. And
I'd like just at half time you'd expect. Oh, it's gone half time. Yeah, you'd expect that to drift a bit now before the second half kicks off.
Yeah, he actually blew the whistle before 45 minutes.
If you had over 1.5 first half goals there, you'd be like a dog. The goal that's allowed, and then it gets blown up before you're like, hopefully 2 or 3 minutes injury time here.
Yeah.
I've said it about 100 times, but that stupid Deportivo La Coruña game, and your man blew it up early.
You're never going to forget about that one, Albi.
Well, I can't remember. I'll have to look up, but I probably won't bother. But how much we were going to win. It was a significant win. I think it was like a 7-fold lacquer that trigger happy bastard left.
It was a biggie, yeah. It was devastating.
Yeah, so for anyone who wasn't with us back last season, we had a big Friday night acca that involved a few second division Spanish games, and we had both teams to score in a Deportivo La Coruña game, and they were 2-0 down. They pulled the keeper, we had over 2.5 goals, and they're 2-0 down. They pulled the keeper forward for the corner and didn't win the corner. The ball broke. There was a player racing into the second half with an open goal, or into the other half with an open goal, and even before the time was up, the ref just blew the whistle with about 15 seconds to spare, and cost us a massive win. Clearly not over it.
It's another one where it didn't affect anyone within the game itself. They had won the match anyway.
A 2-0 or 3-0, who cares?
But I think we spent so much. I think all of our bets were in after 70 minutes or something. So we had 25 minutes of cheering on just a Deportivo goal. And then we were all watching it live, and the fact that he blew, I think we were kind of semi-celebrating as they broke over the halfway line. Such a cruel, cruel time.
It's sick, all right.
But nobody could have missed from where he was. He had, 30 yards to the goal and literally no player between him and the net. Well, I probably could have missed it, but not many professionals would have missed it.
Yeah.
No sign of the players back here in Bruges, so hopefully we don't have the nonsense that we had last week in the Belgium game, or 2 weeks ago in the Belgium game, where there was a huge delay.
It looks to have kicked off just now.
Sorry, it just cut there, yeah. It was just the camera was looking at an empty part of the ground. Right, we're back in. So yeah, we just need a Kortrijk goal there for my leg of the acca to come up, and a Cologne goal for Slats' leg of the acca to come up, and then that's another Friday night winner for us. Anyone who missed the start of the show, Gary's was in after 4 minutes, I think. So pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was both teams to score in Burton Morecambe.
Yeah,
1-1 after 5 minutes or something, 4 minutes. So that was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, fingers crossed tomorrow's 18-1 shot can go like that. I'll be fairly happy.
Yeah, so for anyone who's just joined us, we ran through the various sort of league specials that we have on SportsRunDown.com. So we got the EFL at Gaz Rights, we've got Enzo Serie A, Dermot's League One, Savage's La Liga. So various league experts who give us like free weekly tips and kind of rundowns of the games that they're watching and the best bets. So make sure that over there there's an 18-1 EFL ACA amongst a few others out. So plenty of good betting value to be found.
It's just gone half time here in West Brom. So 3 minutes or 4 minutes injury time. I'm about 2 minutes into it. So I'm gonna check and see what price Birmingham are now. I said if they go to about 7-1, I think that would be a tempting bet for me. So they're 11-2 now. I can see. So I need a bit more of a drift, but hopefully I get that through at the half-time break.
Yeah. I was about to say Kortrijk are looking solid enough again in the first half, but that's how they start in the second half. But that's how they started the first half. Hopefully they don't get kind of sucker punched again, but at least they don't look like the heads have dropped anyway, which is the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. If they're going for it, and like you're saying, Brugge aren't having the best defense this season or even last year as well. I think you said, did you?
Second half of last season, it started to unravel a bit. That's true.
So yeah, if they go for it and don't drop the heads, you'd be pretty confident they'll manage to get one. All right.
Yeah. Kortrijk are kind of above their expected level really in the Belgian league this season. So I always feel with teams like that as well, they're kind of happy to give it a go. If you're down the bottom end of the table, you're going to try and shut up shop a bit, even if you're losing.
Yeah.
But here they just hopefully throw caution to the wind, lose 4-5-1.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping for the same from Cologne here, down 3-0, 60 minutes now. Still plenty of time, but it's just a question if they're going to go for it or, if maybe they'll throw in the towel.
Have they been attacking much, Slats? Or
they've had a couple of shots since the third goal. They still haven't had a shot on target all game based on Bet365 stats anyway. But they've had more of the possession. They've had more attacks. They've had 2 corners to 1, so they've had more corners. So the stats wouldn't suggest 3-0 them to be 3-0 down, and they have been in the game, but less so this half. So yeah, it's hard to know now if their heads are dropping or
just as it's half time in Birmingham, West Brom, I'm gonna flick in and watch it here. So I have it on the iPad here in front of me. So I'll let you know how it's going. Because sometimes those stats can be deceiving. So
yeah. If you just turn this Belgium game on at halftime and you had to guess which team was 2-0, you would not pick Bruges. It's been God, what a chance. Inches wide. Kortrijk very close to pulling one back there. Great ball into the box. Like I said, Bruges are just very shaky at the back. It was a very well-weighted pass, kind of ended up between the 2 centre-backs, and the forward just stuck a boot at it and put it probably about a foot wide. But again,
given that your game has about 10 minutes on my game, LB, I'm kind of hoping that Cologne score before yours comes in, or it'll certainly put a lot of pressure on mine if your goal comes in.
This is like back to last season where we didn't even care if the bets won as long as you weren't the one yourself who let it down.
Yeah. For the Friday Echo, I definitely wanted to come in, and even for myself and Gary's bets, because we had to just go with over 2.5. We're only waiting on that goal, but I'll still be feeling the pressure now if yours comes in before.
I missed that memo when we decided to just back over 2.5 and not tell LB to drop the both teams to score parts.
We said it at the start of the show. We spoke about Betfair not having the market. Yeah. They don't have the
half an hour into the Hoffenheim into the Cologne game.
Actually, the odds were substantially worse. Obviously, I think it was about 8-15 for over 2.5.
What were the win odds in that game at the start? Do you remember?
Hoffenheim were about evens. I think they were 20-21.
Okay.
So that was pretty solid. I didn't trust it, to be honest. Like they haven't been consistent enough. They were low enough on the table for their standard. I think they were below Cologne before this game. So, you normally would have expected it, but I didn't fancy to back it. Certainly not in our ACCA anyway.
Yeah, and they just let it kind of reassure you, lads. They are still going for it here. So they've had 2 decent attacks. They look to be playing 3 up front. And the ref didn't give a free, but I thought it was a foul kind of at the halfway line, but it was last man at the halfway line. The striker didn't make a big deal of it, so maybe it's just because I'm watching on a small screen here. But they're definitely not out of it. Like, they could pull back a consolation, and they're not just sitting back. And just what it's speaking, Burton have gone 3-1 up. So again,
in the bag,
one goal in the Kortrijk, or goal for Kortrijk will kind of hopefully seal that 12-1 treble.
What was the third leg in that treble, Gary?
So it was over 2.5 in Cologne. They both teams to score in Brugge and Kortrijk, and then Burton to win on both teams to score. So it was just to enhance the variation of our treble.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's called out in the article as well, so we can't be accused of after timing.
Yeah. Still all Kortrijk in the Belgium game, by the way. So
there's what? Sorry, LB?
It's still all Kortrijk in the Belgian game.
God, I thought I heard you said there was a goal. I was like, that's a very calm way of telling us that.
No.
There was a goal. I bet came in there.
No, you'll hear me shouting if they score. But although I would not be surprised if they concede again, because they're very, very, like, I don't know how you describe it, but they're not passing the ball fast. Like, they're keeping it, so they're ended up under quite a lot of pressure, even in their own backline, but in possession. So I could easily see Bruges just nicking the ball off them and scoring another as this rolls on. But hopefully they pull one back either way.
And I just flicked onto that. Kortrijk ones in black and blue, yeah?
Oh.
No?
No,
the Reds.
Black and blue. Yeah, the Reds, yeah.
It's mad because Hoffenheim are in blue as well. So Hoffenheim are blue and Cologne are red. So basically cheered on the Reds in both games. Like.
Yeah. Come on, you Red. Oh, hold on. Oh, God, another good chance there.
Is that Simon Mignolet in goal for Bruges?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Back home for a... I suppose there'd be way less pressure there. You keep the head a bit calmer. Although he did make it... Did you see him there? Like that ball bounced over his head.
Yeah.
That's the Mignolet we all remember.
Well, that's the Mignolet we need for our bet too, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Nice slip up there. And
Bruges nearly scored down the other end.
Cologne's got a really good shot there, lads, for about 30 yards. But if it was kind of a couple of inches lower, I don't think the keeper was getting to it. It would have been in the top corner. Just went over the bar.
I also, in this game, and I mentioned it in that article, I have Kramaric to score any time. And I thought, like, if they were going to score 3 goals, that he would have at least had one of them. He takes the penalties as well for Hoffenheim, which is always a bonus. But he hasn't. He had an early shot on target and hasn't had anything since. So, I mean, he's still on the pitch. So hopefully, whether Cologne score or not, hopefully he goes up the other end and gets one.
Are you still watching the Bruges game, Gary?
I flicked off it. Sorry, I thought on.
I saw something horrible there. Don't even know if I want to say it out loud, but one of the Kortrijk players looks like he'll be going off to gather himself.
I saw the bad challenge. The ref didn't seem to give a free for.
Yeah, no, he didn't. But your man hasn't got up, so they stopped the game, but they didn't give a free for it. It's back on now. A little bit quiet now. Looking forward to the 8:00 games kicking off. Second half, get a bit more action on, but a little bit quiet at the minute.
Yeah, I was looking at the PSG one. They're 8-5 now on Bet365 for the win. So they did slightly drift there. Let me just check what they're on the exchange.
I think 8-5 is what they were before the goal, or 9-5 was it? And then 13-2.
Before, yeah. After that, though, they went to what did they go to? They went into 13-10, I think. After that, was it? So they've slightly drifted.
I've thrown a fiver on that double that I mentioned earlier. So Birmingham and PSG at it's nearly 19-1. The double 8-5 and 13-2.
It would have been more than that.
No. Birmingham are 13-2. Like I said, what did you say when you spotted them 5-1?
5-1. Yeah, I want them to be sevens, and then I'm going to back. So a little bit more of a drift, and then I'm going to back them.
Yeah, I'll take it now because I'm pretty bad at missing bets. So happy to.
PSG are 9-5 now on the exchange. I'm just going to jump on that myself. I'm not going to bother with the double.
He doesn't trust me.
That's harsh. Bad form.
I'll probably regret it. Like which year 19th one will come in and I'll be there cheering my fucking 9-5. But
€9 profit. Brugge right back in this while, playing back in this game. Obviously, two goals to the good, but Kortrijk lost a little bit of their steam after that. Need to the
Waterford are still hanging on as well. 6-4. Probably do it. Another goal there just to make things a bit more comfortable, but as you said, they're more of a second half team anyway. So,
what price are they in play? Must be not great.
Go in and check it.
Yeah,
they're 4-11.
Drogheda are up 1-0 as well. I'm not sure if he.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Spotted that or pointed it out. So yeah. It's only just after going in a minute or two ago.
Hopefully, Dia get on that. So, Dia, if you're still tuned in, did you get on the double of Waterford and Drogheda?
It looks like a good show, right?
I wish I got on that double now that we said it.
It was 4-6 when Dia mentioned it, but if you'd waited till half time or so, they would have been pretty decent.
What's the 6-4 and 4-6 double pay?
Slats is the mathematician amongst us all.
I would guess about 2.5 to 1, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Way to kill the stream, LV. Throw mass problems.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to put it into calculator now.
Yeah, it feels like it should be way easier though. And what's going on here in Bruges? Got a good chance for Kortrijk, but offside, useless. Very good. Like we said earlier, anyone who's watching the show on Twitter or Facebook, on YouTube, just let us know in the comments what games you're watching or what bets you have on. Love to chat about them. We've had a few people.
3-1 LB for that. Sorry.
Oh, very good. Well, I didn't get on it, but hopefully Dia got on it in the comments. But anyone watching us, let us know in the comments what games you're watching or what bets you have on, and we'll chat through them. Love to hear about other people's bets and other games that are on tonight or over the weekend.
Shit, I kind of just scrolled back up through Betfair there, and I just saw 3-1 up on the left-hand panel, but it was the Burton game. Just had that little heart jump.
You're like, my bet's in. And you're like, no, it's not.
It's awful. The PSG game has just kicked off now again, so if you haven't got on them yet and you want to, I could see, they might get an early one here.
You want to actually check what a goal is, like a PSG goal or both teams to score kind of bet is there. Must be pretty low price.
Yeah, you would think so. If they're 8-5 to win, just for them to score isn't going to be much.
It's 4-6 for 2 more goals across the whole game. Both teams to score is 1-4. Oh, get out of here.
It's pretty weak.
It's terrible.
Sometimes you go in and see those odds and you're just like, who backs these things?
If anyone in the comments is backing them, we apologise, but they're pretty awful prices. A good chance for Bruges.
Really do a Kortrijk getting a goal, do you know?
Yeah, half an hour now, so. Now this Kortrijk keeper is all over the place. I'm going to keep an eye on him, see if he plays next week, because he got an absolute crack to the face early on, and he's looked so dodgy since. Kind of coming out and going back, doesn't seem to know where he is. And that's my excuse anyway if the bet doesn't win.
Do you think if another goal went in that, like, Bruges would kind of just relax, like?
Yeah, I'm going to start hoping for that pretty soon, to be honest. But the thing is, they've had chances, Kortrijk, so far. Like, they got in behind Bruges at least 3 or 4 times in the first half, and already again in the second half. So they're just, 2 just wides for Kortrijk, and like I said, it's not
It's
like
just gone 4-0 Hoffenheim. So again, it doesn't help our bet, but maybe 4-0 is when Hoffenheim go to sleep and Cologne come up with the consolation.
Yeah,
That's mad because that hasn't come up on my screen yet, but Cologne were kind of the better team for the last 10 minutes, so it's a bit of a kick in the teeth for them.
Yeah, before these matches get right to the end, Gary, do you want to do your Lyon cheat sheet for anyone who's interested in getting a bit of advanced information for the League One game over the weekend?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
All right, ready when you are.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, big game in League One this weekend is Lyon versus Monaco. So we've put together some of just kind of, as Liam said, this cheat sheet is designed just to give some stats. If you're going to be having a bet on the game, it might help you, pick what you want to invest your money on. So, starting with Lyon. So, just a bit of injury news in that game is that Moussa Dembele, who's the top goal scorer, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, and Islam Slimani, who is kind of backup striker, he's a doubt. So just kind of curb the enthusiasm when we're talking a little bit about, like, some both teams scoring over 2.5 goals, given that they're going to be missing 2 of their bigger strikers. You kind of need to take that into account slightly. But yeah, look at this. It's Monaco in 6th playing Lyon in 10th. We have up here the form in the last 10 games, last 8 games. That's fairly similar, obviously, because we're early in the season. But as the season goes on, you'll see that the recent form actually is a better guide when you're picking your bet than the overall league position. Some team could have had a storming start to the league, but they're actually on a terrible run of form. So it doesn't give us much of an insight this week, but going forward, I think that's a good thing to have on our cheat sheet. Both teams to score then. 78% of Lyon's games have had both teams to score, and 56% of Monaco's. Both teams to score over 2.5 goals is kind of the inverse of that. So what that's telling you is that Lyon are kind of involved in a lot of really close games where there's just goals for both teams, but Monaco usually just dispatch teams kind of with ease. Once they get on top, they kind of keep going. So that's one to watch out for. And then corners, I'm as regular watchers of the show will know, I love a corners bet. So obviously Lyon's games having 11.5 corners on average. Usually you're looking at a little bit over even money for the over 10.5 corners. So that could be an angle to play. And then we picked out 2 players just really to focus on in the game. So for Monaco, it's Wissam Ben Yedder. So he scored 5 goals in his 6 games that he's started this season. I think it's been 9 games in total. But I think the big thing there is that he scored those goals in his recent games. So it's good to call out that. And then Lucas Paqueta, from a Lyon perspective, he's a midfielder, but they're going to rely on him. As you can see, he scored 4 goals this season. They're going to need more goals from him this season, especially with Moussa Dembele and Slimani or if Slimani misses out as well, they'll kind of put more pressure on Paqueta or Paqueta. So yeah, that's the cheat sheet for this weekend. If I was using this to have a bet, I think a Monaco win and both teams to score would look like the bet to me. But I don't know whether you lads have any thoughts on the game, whether you've looked into that or not.
Just before I give you my thoughts on that game, I need to tell you that we have been officially robbed in the Bruges game. Kortrijk had an absolute stonewall penalty, and they went to VAR, and I do not know how it was not given. Ball played in behind the defenders. You might have seen me shaking my head. Centre forward just had like a side foot ready to tap it in, and the defender just behind him kicked him in the ankle and moved his foot away from the ball. The defender didn't touch the ball, tripped up the man. No penalty. VAR reviewed it. No penalty. I do not know how. Like, even the Bruges players had started walking back towards their goal in anticipation for the penalty. It was so clear cut and not given, which is...
That's never what you want.
No, absolutely devastating. So this is probably going to lose, and then leave us awful sour taste in the mouth because of that. Yeah, I was looking at your cheat sheet, back to that, Gary, while we were on the topic, and you kind of mentioned early on about the injuries and maybe tapering off the goals expectations, but then you're looking at both teams to score, so you still think it'll be a pretty open game, even if there's a few guys out, a few big names.
Yeah, no,
out.
I just think like I'd be tapering Leon's goals. So I still think there's goals kind of galore in this game, and if you look at their heads to head over last year, so Leon won 2 of their meetings last season, but they were 3-2 and 4-1. So, 5 goals in each game. So I can still see there being goals, but I can see it being more of a 4-1 Monaco than a 3-2 or 3-3 game this season. Now, Leon do have Xherdan Shaqiri, so they're not fully out of attack and talent, but I just think that Dembele at this level is a really good player. They've obviously brought in Slimani as well. I think he was with Leicester previously. So, they're big misses if they're out, but they're not at the bottom of the reserves with the likes of Shaqiri still there. I actually did up a little same game multi that I'm going to invest in, so it's 35-1. So it's calling out the 2 players that we kind of had as our players in focus. So Lucas Paqueta to have 2 shots on target, and Wissam Ben Yedder to have 2 shots on target. And then I did put Shaqiri in as well as a anytime goal scorer. So that's a 35-1 treble, nice. Which I think obviously said kind of going a little bit against my thinking there with Shaqiri scoring and the Leon potential lack of goals. But he's 12-5 to score anytime, which I think is a good price. And he's fond of kind of a shot from outside the box and stuff. So even if they aren't creating much, he still might just have a pot shot or a free kick. So that's why I stuck him in anytime. So yeah, I'll be having a bet off that.
Yeah, nice.
Sounds good.
I'll probably copy you on that same game multi. I like the sounds of that.
Definitely tailing it.
The other cheat sheet we've done up is the Juventus-Roma game in the Serie A. So anyone who's been over on Sports Rundown or has seen this show from the start will know that Enzo's got this game covered in his weekly Serie A bet. He's gone for a Juventus win, and in fairness, I can see why. So Roma are ahead of them in the table, but as alluded to in the article, Juventus started quite poorly. You can see from their form there, they've got 3 wins in a row. And even before that, the draw and the loss were, in fairness, they were, AC Milan draw and then a loss away to Napoli. So, not easy games there. Roma, on the other hand, kind of a funny season. I mean, a lot of high-scoring games. Look back to the results, a lot of 3-2s, 3-1s, 4-0s, kind of scores like that are just very, very entertaining. But maybe they're tougher games away to Lazio, away to Hellas. They lost both of them 3-2, in fact. So I don't think Roma are really finding any consistency yet. I like the look of Juve here. In terms of the team news, Rabiot was, did you see that controversy when testing positive? And he found out in the stadium that he had COVID, so he had to head off. So he probably won't be available. And then somebody mentioned earlier in the show, Tammy Abraham, he limped off during England's draw with Hungary. And he's obviously been very, very important for Roma this season. So if he's going to be fit or not, I always do have my doubts though about players who look to pick up a knock on injury or a knock on international duty. Maybe they just want to get home early. So hopefully Abraham is back, and that's a kind of a full squad there for that trip to Turin for Roma. In terms of the stats here, they're very, very different. So, I mean, Roma's goals are just crazy this season. Like we said, 4-0, 3-2, and 3-2 are their 3 away games. Their home games not much worse, 3-1, 2-1, and then maybe 2 low-scoring games. But on the road, they're very, very open. And when they play teams, probably you haven't played a team as good as Juve yet away from home this season. And they look like they'll struggle. There's a funny stat, both of these teams tend to score first. So 2/3 of Roma's games, they score first, and 2/3 of Juve's games. So I think whoever does score first here have a good grip on the game. One that does look interesting as well is that 67% of games at home, Juve take the lead at halftime, and in Roma's games, they tend to not be leading at halftime. So I actually like to look at Juve halftime, Juve full-time here in this match, because I think they're much stronger. I think they're making a comeback. Like we said, especially if Abraham is out, Roma might not be at the races. The 2 games last season.
You've done that, LB, the halftime, full time.
No, I don't. Actually, I'm going to get them now while we're talking.
See it here. It's 2-1 on Bet365.
Yeah, I like that. Like you guys talked about earlier,
decent,
to see odds on Juve kind of at this around anything around evens for a home win, especially against a team that very, very open on the road, seems like a great price. But that halftime, full time, I really like the look of it because, like I said, Juve tend to be leading most of their home games at halftime, and Roma tend to not be leading most of their games at halftime. So seems like a good one. The players in focus we have up on the screen, Pellegrini for Roma. So he's scored 4 times already in the league this season, but he's just, any games I've watched, he's just shooting from left, right, and centre. I think he's had 23 shots so far. So it's the highest for Roma. I think it's the 3rd highest of anyone in the Serie A so far this season. He just likes a pot shot. I wonder, though, will he have the same opportunities against a team like Juve, who will obviously be a little bit tighter than some of the other teams Roma have played against this season? I think if they can curtail him, Roma could be under a bit of, could really limit their options up front. And then the key player for Juventus, I like to look at Locatelli here. He had a slow start to the season. He came off the bench, I think, in 3 of his first 4 games. Didn't really pick up that many minutes, but he's played the last 3 games. He's played all 90 minutes, and he scored in his last 2. He seems to be kind of getting into a bit of a groove. So he's only scored twice, but he's still up there with Juve's joint top scorer. So I like Locatelli to score here in this game as well. And the halftime, full time is my bet there.
Yeah, I actually really rate Locatelli from the Euros during the summer. So I'm disappointed they haven't got the shots on target market priced up, because I was looking to do kind of a double on them. But I'd say the prices will be fairly juicy given the attacking talent that's on show. If you're looking at Juventus and you have the likes of Moise Kean and Dybala and the likes, like Locatelli isn't going to be the favourite to get shots on target, and I can see he's priced up at 9-2 anytime. So you'd expect him probably to be 6-4, or maybe 2-1 for 2 shots on target. And the same with Pellegrini, he's 4-1 anytime. So be hoping for a decent price, 2 shots on target. So I'm hoping tomorrow then that market will be priced up, and I'll probably go with a double on those 2 lads. Yeah,
I like the shots. Yeah, you said it's not priced up yet. You can usually make a good guess at what the shots prices will be based on the anytime prices. It's kind of like a steeper line, but the forwards will be obviously a lot closer in, but yeah, you can kind of back it out there. So their odds are probably pretty accurate, and I think I'll back that as well. Maybe even do like a same game multi, like you said. Actually, was a good idea on the other game, so I might put one of those together and then throw it up on the SRD Twitter.
Yeah, it's good. So, guys, anybody watching in, let us know what you think of those cheat sheets or stat attacks. They're good. Will they help you out? What would you back based on the stats we've presented? Feel free to kind of share your thoughts. We've given ours. The big thing that we haven't called out on Pellegrini, LB, was his disciplinary record. I don't know what he called it out, the 3 bookings and the red card. This early in the season for a player to have that. To have been sent off in a game and still to have 4 goals at this stage of the season as well is a
he's doing
really
well.
good thing to have.
Yeah, I think if anyone's going to get under your skin, it's going to be away to Juventus. They'll just niggle at you if they know you've got a bit of a temper. So yeah, it's a good point. Actually, that could go in a booking for him in the same game multi could be an idea as well.
He's a player for the All Action ACAF.
Yeah, 100%. By the way, Waterford have just gone 2-0 up, so looking good there.
Hoffenheim have gone 5-0 up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, speaking of the shots on target market, so I mentioned earlier at the start at Kramer, it was shown on Betfair that he had 1 shot on target, but they were still pricing, as if he hadn't had any. You could still back him to get 1 shot on target, and I backed him to get 2 shots on target. He's now Betfair shown 3 shots on target, so there's not going to be anything contentious about my bet. I'm never going to know if they would have taken it back unless they reach out to me the way they did to you, LB. But so I backed for him to get 2 shots on target, and it's saying
the only thing was I cashed out, so like there would be a mark that I had taken the money when it wasn't really valid. So
whereas my bet was still riding that shot. They are saying didn't count, but assuming they count the next 2. What's frustrating though is that I also backed him to score any time, and Hoffenheim have had 8 shots on target. 5 of them were goals, and the other 3 are 3 shots that aren't goals.
That's unreal.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate that every other shot on target they've had has gone in. And
just go back to this Belgium game. Like Kortrijk are still pushing here. I mean, Bruges look to have their number now. There's only 15 minutes to go, but I'm actually sick to my stomach about that non-penalty. Like, I'm going to actually get a clip of it after the game and share it because it was possibly the clearest penalty I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah, I missed it, but I'm kind of glad I missed it because I'm waiting for Kortrijk to land 2 bets here, and I'll just be so
I know Paddy Power loved to give the the kind of the bad luck payouts.
I actually think Betfair call it Bet VAR, I think.
Dude, I might even contact them about it or tweet them because like it was just I think I said it on a previous stream. Like Bruges get all the calls, especially in Bruges. Like they're the Real Madrid, the Man United of that league, and the calls go their way all the time. But like this was egregious. It was just a disgrace. So like from behind, didn't touch the ball. Here we go, corner to nothing. So yeah, pretty sickened, I must say. Oh, nearly a chance there for Kortrijk. So anyway, 15 minutes to go there, starting to lose hope.
This Hoffenheim game has gone full time. Jesus, I don't even think there was a minute of injury time.
Well, the refs probably taking pity on them being 5-0 down. Like,
yeah, blow it up.
End this now.
Injury. Yeah, but because I was about to say it's just gone into injury time, and then it just went to full time almost straight away, which is frustrating because I was still waiting for a Cologne goal or a Carmarak goal.
When we used to play rugby as young fellas, like we were off, like the worst team around, regularly kind of on the wrong end of a 50 or 60 kind of to 5 scoreline. And a few times we had that where 10 minutes early the ref would blow it up. A compassionate end to the game.
Compassionate.
So I can empathize.
Waterford had a man sent off, and they're still 2-0 up, but not a great sign with I suppose 19 minutes to go. But
I saw Drogheda are 2-0 up as well, so that 3-1 double on Drogheda and Waterford would be coasting. I know you're saying a red card there would be looking a bit.
Do you know what?
Good on that now.
That fourfold I mentioned earlier of the 4 teams to win and both teams to score, like that's actually not a million miles away now. Still, PSG would need to come back, and then Bruges and Waterford to concede. But I mean, Bruges have been flirting with conceding for the last half an hour, and Waterford are down a man. So, for a massively priced one, there's still a hope left.
I mean, if that game or that bet gets let down by Bruges not conceding the Kortrijk, it'll just be, a disaster.
Yeah.
But to your point, they're still kind of attacking freely here. So I know you said you kind of were losing faith, but I haven't lost faith yet. I think they might sneak. They deserve them from what I've seen in the game. Now I've been trying to watch 2 games at once, but they're not no hopers anyway in my mind.
No, they're not at all. Like they really are playing well this season. In fairness to them, and like the way Bruges play, like they sort of seem to. How to describe it? Like they kind of, if you're going to have a few chances, they don't seem to care too much. They let you have your chances because they kind of know they're going to outscore you.
You.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Kortrijk are playing really nice stuff, actually. Like a lot of playing out from the back and kind of getting past their man and stuff like that. So, yeah, really impressive. And then he shoots it into row 100 there. So, as I was talking, the ball is probably still going up.
I was like, that's a corner. That must have been a deflection.
It must have been a deflection, yeah. Oh. You can tell from the body language of the player, like he just drops his shoulders and turns around. You're like, yeah, that was you. Oh, God.
Yeah, PSG are still down 1-0. I'd have thought they'd have got back into this game before now. Still a bit of time. They're 4-1 now for the win, but you're kind of up against the clock now at this stage. So,
oh God, I don't know what's going to be the worst part of this bet losing. If it's going to be the 0 in Kortrijk or PSG to draw 1-1. Oh God.
They'll be the only two legs that can let you down now, will they?
Well, I mean, Burton is probably they're 3-1 up, so that's as good as in. Waterford still need to concede anyway. It's a long shot anyway. It's probably bigger odds now than it was at kickoff. So,
well, with the red card, it's a penalty to Harps actually, so that is looking like it's going to come in. Well, not with our penalty record on the live
yeah, that's
show.
actually something else for anyone who's new to the show. We have an unbelievable record here, and about 80 or 90% of penalties we watch on the show don't get scored.
Yeah, Harps did score there. So I think this season it started swinging back in favour of penalties being scored. But last season, I feel like we saw about 20 penalties and about 18 of them were missed or something like that. It was just
getting
crazy,
silly, though. It was getting silly. There is PSG and Waterford to draw, not with each other, obviously, is 10-1.
There's about a million to 1 to draw with each other, I think.
Yeah. Waterford and PSG to play, 1,000,000 to 1. So I'm going to throw tenner on that at 10-1, actually. Just or to protect myself, just to be second if Waterford throw this one away now. I've gone suspended in the PSG game as I went in. Yeah,
go PSG. But to be fair, well, it's still suspended, but I don't know if you'd even want PSG scoring that quickly after back in the draw.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
It's the same thing. It's still suspended on Bet365, so there could be another issue here with it going to VAR offside or something. It hasn't locked in the goal yet.
There's a bit of a hothead for Bruges called Dost, is his name, Dost, and just to foul against him there. The ref called him over, and he went he went absolutely bananas, like facing off with the ref, and got a yellow card for himself. He was very close to getting a red card for that. I mean, that was about as aggressive as you're going to see a player get away with one, talking to the ref.
Yeah, but I'm liking the fact that there has been yellow cards there. In the last
really,
couple of minutes. So
8 in total.
Yeah, Bruges are really gonna put up to them now. Oh, God, Birmingham just hit the crossbar. From it was great play on the left hand side, and it gets laid off to the midfielder coming in. So he's just making a late run to the box. He's probably about 10 yards out, and it just clipped the top of the crossbar as it went over. But
that guy Dost, who just got booked
from there.
That guy Dost, who just got booked, just went really high to kind of clear the ball over his own head, like a couple of inches away from a high foot right in front of the ref or a high boot. Would have loved if he got sent off there, but no luck. And there is 6 minutes to play here, so goal kick Bruges.
Come on, Kortrijk now. Jesus, be a cruel way to end the night after such a good start. Buzzing after 4 minutes, and then
that penalty goal. I don't want to just harp on about it, but it was so bad.
You're going to get bad beats like that, and I mean, the only thing you can say is that it was still a good call if it takes a clear-cut penalty not to be given.
Yeah, kind of getting tired of the old. I called it right, but still lose my money bets. I
mean, I could do with it coming in myself now.
Made into the misses. Well, there's no holiday this year, but I did get all the reads on the game right, but just didn't win anything.
showing her the videos of the VAR decision. That just had a wedding.
Exactly. Making a few changes here.
That goal stood, by the way, so they're 11-10 now for the win.
That seems a good price.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, they were out to 4-1, maybe even more than that before they scored. But you know, it was getting a bit risky because the clock. But yeah, 20 minutes now to get a winner, and you know, you would figure the momentum is with them.
Oh yeah,
after equalising
at home,
that does look pretty decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was on them at 2-1, so I'm not gonna put any more on them. I'm just gonna stick with that.
Yeah. No.
Oh yes! Shoot!
Come on!
Oh no!
Oh you!
Oh my God! How did you miss that?
They just haven't managed to hit the target all night, have they?
No, but like
so many close chances just wide.
Like, Mignolet is a liability.
How do you miss the target?
Mignolet is not even in the box.
With your right foot, like.
I'm sick about this game now. Absolutely sick.
That is it. Make sure you hit the target. Like, that's fucking disgrace.
Yeah, but even just run a bit further, like take a touch. Do you know what I mean? There was no reason for him to just drill that wide. I'm not sure if you saw that, Slats, but we'll describe it to anyone who didn't get to see it. There was a loose ball. Mignolet came right out of his box, like out past the D, nearly 10 yards outside of his box, to slide tackle. The ball bounced over his head, rolled across to the other side of the box, and one of the Kortrijk guys came in, and there was an open goal, and he just put it wide from like maybe a few yards, kind of diagonally out from the penalty spot.
And was it diagonally at a tough angle?
No, like wasn't a tap in, but it was an open goal at a reasonable angle.
Yeah, like the defender could have got to it, but it's also one of those that if you hit it straight at the defender, there's a chance of him just like putting his hand out to stop it or something, like, you know, kind of human nature would be to, like, you know, become the goalkeeper. But not hit the target is just
yeah, that's it. If you drill it into the goal and the defender blocks it, well, then he blocks it. But like, at least you have a chance to score. When you just fucking side foot it wide. Oh God, this is just not one of our nights, guys. I apologize about this bet now because really thought it was.
My eyes actually lit up there when I saw it. Like I was just
so like, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. Anyway, still 4 minutes left, I think. So we'll.
That's actually, I said in the article that this game could easily be 2-2. I actually mentioned that scoreline, and with the penalty and that chance there, like it could have been 2-2. The way Brugge play, like they'll, you know what I mean? Like I think I said as well, like after Christmas they kind of settle down when they get into the playoffs. They know they need to keep it all tight, and they'll be a different animal. But between now and Christmas, like there's definitely potential for them to slip up. But it happened tonight, but we just didn't catch the breaks.
Yeah, we just like Kortrijk are still well in the game, although saying that I can't understand why Bruges are attacking so much. Like, you know, like 2-0 up, just see the game out, but they're kind of going to go host still.
They don't see games out. Like they will on it. Like they're the same every season. Like from February onwards, they will. Obviously, the playoffs it's a different thing, but at this stage of the season, like they know that they're not going to be out of the playoffs, and they'll just keep within touching distance at the top, and just it's nearly like playing for fun. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting.
That's just down to that strange Belgian playoff system, isn't it? Where like you just have to finish basically in the top half of the table.
Yeah, basically the top half, top 8 of 18, I think. And then you get, it's really weird. Like you just half your points, and then you all play each other again. So you just have another league then of the top 8 teams, but your points have been half to compress the table, and then you just go again. So, you know, if you're 20 points off first, then you are only 10 points off first, and then you play everybody home and away again. So it's it keeps it really interesting, but it's a bit weird, especially when you get to like January where matches have almost no meaning, you know?
Yeah, it definitely changes the dynamic, particularly of the first half of the season. Like, you don't really need to go all out.
It's more of a kind of American. Oh, come on. Yes.
Here we go.
Has to be.
Has to be.
Oh my God! How do you miss that?
It's the same player, is it?
Yeah. He had 3 people in the box to pass it to as well. How do you miss that chance?
What a mug.
Oh, look at the guy in the back post. Just play it to
Oh
him.
my God. But I have that 150 to 1 riding on this now as well.
Do you actually?
With Waterford up 2-1.
Oh my God.
You need PSG just to get a winner then, is it?
Yeah, PSG to score in the next 15 minutes. And this.
That is unbelievable. Those, like...
There should be 3 goals. They should have scored 3 goals.
His name is Badamosi. It should be fucking bad left winger.
Jesus.
Fucking...
Oh my God.
Oh, just... John,
breakaway into the second half, slats. It was like a 3-on-2, a 3-on-1. He just takes it too far. The keeper can cut off the angle, and like halfway between the edge of the box and the 6-yard box, he just tries to put it on the near post of the keeper. I think puts it wide. There was 3 Kortrijk players in the box, but one guy was open at the back post, not a player near him. Open goal because the keeper was at the near post, and he just side-footed it wide.
But again, you have to make the keeper work there.
Yeah,
like the first one hit the target. That one, like, even if you pass it to the keeper, at least you've had a chance. Don't kick it wide, like. Absolutely frustrating.
Even just welly that across the box, even if it's not pinpointed to that free player, just put it into the danger zone. Hitting it wide at the front post like that is just an absolute disgrace.
I cannot believe those 2 chances like that. And I'm just thankful I didn't see the penalty show, because I'd be absolutely fuming if I saw it.
I am. I'm actually steam coming out my ears here. It's, oh my God. I hope PSG don't get a winner now, because that's like 1,600 quid that I won't be getting because of this absolute
I'd be actually sending my bet slip off the Kortrijk, being like, pay this now.
That fella, take it out of his wages, please.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
There's only like a minute left in injury time, so
it's as good as gone. You only get so many chances to score in a game, and they've had 3 absolute. Well, they had chances in the first half. They had 2 or 3 good chances in the first half, and 3 like 99% chances of scoring in the second half, if you include the penalty, and haven't done it. So
I'm actually so upset with that. Like,
you tell me about it.
Just rather than get no chances and it be a shit bet,
Yeah,
it's an absolutely brilliant bet, except for the fact that your man's a plonker. Like.
Yeah,
that's a signal.
That's it. You look at it, like I said, 1 to 15 for Bruges to score, 9 to 10 for both of them, and this match could easily be 3-3. Oh God. Anyway, that's the joys of betting. Anyone in the comments who's had a few bad beats like that, by all means, let us know. I'll take the sting out of what I've had to sit through to hear about some other bad luck stories or good luck stories. Maybe you back Bruges to win to 0 here and you're absolutely loving this. I don't know.
Under 2.5.
Yeah, don't tell me about that, actually.
The heart attack that you would be having. Like.
Oh, God, yeah, you wouldn't be able to handle it. Is he giving it? Oh, he's giving it free.
He still hasn't blown up for full time, like, but...
No.
It's full time, all right, I think, lads.
Is it?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's not actually, no.
No, that was just a free, I think.
It's 3 minutes, but it's going on the 4th minute of 3 minutes injury time.
Maybe the ref is just feeling sorry for anybody who had a bet on both teams to score.
The ref backed both teams to score here, and he's absolutely livid. Mignolet is on the act. Mignolet was in on the act. No, it's over now. Oh, well, that is a pain. Really, really hope PSG don't do it, because...
Did you not back PSG to win? I'm on PSG, so I kind of hope they do.
Yeah, but relatively speaking, I'd be much, much sadder if I missed this other bet because of it. Yeah. Excuse me. Was there 10 minutes to go there? PSG haven't had that much more of the chances, but they've had the vast majority of the play, so we'll see how this one pans out.
Yeah, they're back out nearly a 2-1 for the win, with 10 minutes to go. But
what do you think?
I guess it's a little risky. I still expect it to happen, just because they're that type of team, like that. They'll, they underperform, but still just kind of get away with the win. But I don't think I'll be backing it this late at 9 or 10 minutes.
Oh, anyone watching us, by all means, let us know in the comments what bets you have on, what games you're watching, anything like that. We'd love to hear it. We'd love your thoughts on the action. We've got the PSG on this game on the screen now as well, actually, for the last 10 minutes of that. Yeah.
How much do you lads trust live score?
I think it's
League of Ireland's bets.
For League of Ireland. For League of Ireland, not at all, because they don't actually send anyone to the Waterford matches and they just suspend them in play. Certainly last season they did.
What stats are you seeing live that are leading you towards something?
Well, no, so I did a bet earlier on and I kind of had forgotten about it, but I just flicked into my cash out thing and it was going fairly well. Now West Brom have just gone 1-0 up in their game, so it would have needed 2 more goals than that. But everything else was in, apart from Treaty United, who, according to LiveScore, have drawn 1-1, so it's full time. But I needed Treaty to win. But Betfair were offering me like more than my cash out, so 50% more than my stake to cash out. So I basically cashed out for a profit on a bet that's lost, according to LiveScore. So I just hope that isn't a sickener that I think I'm being clever doing that. And LiveScore update to treat you after winning 2-1 and I end up losing 500 quid or something. So
I'm on Soccerway and it says that Treaty drew 1-1 full time.
Yeah, that's what I saw on LiveScore. So, but like they were still offering me, a cash out more than my stake on Betfair. So I took it.
At what stage? Like when?
Like just before I asked you. So like the game was over 5 minutes.
Okay, right.
So yeah, don't put this out on any clips, Betfair. I'll be going to my account and taking the money back then.
That's actually an interesting one to see what happens.
It happens in your Bet365 where I think we all had that where we backed an MLS game for over 2.5 and it was a penalty or an offside goal, but they were actually showing the cash out. So we all cashed out because we knew it was offside. And then they took it out of my account the next day, basically saying that like the result didn't happen or something like that. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
But,
they do that. Like most of the bookies do that. When it's like a mistake. Like you go negative balance.
They would just put a negative balance up.
Yeah, I've heard that what'll happen then is like after a week they'll just reset your balance back to 0. But I don't know.
It's just bad form, like John. Like I had a big rant with them at that stage. It's just like, it's your fault. You're the one offering the cash out. It's not my fault to be checking what the scores are or whatever. But they have it buried in their terms and conditions. And they actually refunded me I think they might have given me the bet, but they made me confirm I'd never get on to contact them again if it happened to me again or something like that. But
I'm seeing the PSG game suspended. I don't know if you're
so Angers had a good shot. Oh, sorry, PSG had a shot and it went. Oh, this is actually crazy. So PSG had a shot. It looks like it has hit the hand of the defender going to the goalie. He catches it, boots it down the field, and then Angers had a shot and then nearly scored but didn't. And they've gone back for a review of a potential handball, which would be a PSG penalty. And it's looking to me like
it looks like it is a PSG penalty now.
Yeah. Oh my God, that bet.
Did Waterford is that full time? You had Waterford and both teams to
score.
3-1. 3-1. So that's in the bag. God, that's sick. All right. If PSG score here, what would that be? 1,600 had Brugge conceded there.
Geez, and there's me complaining about my 12-1 shot.
I'm going to be stewing all weekend over this now. It's unbelievable.
You'd be chasing it.
Oh, my God.
I actually want to see that on Betfair now. Get onto them.
Yeah. They call it BetVar.
BetVar, yeah, I think it's called.
Well, so if it was maybe PSG missed this penalty and you'd be...
Mbappe, I don't think he's going to miss. Like.
Oh, man. This is awful.
At least you learned some French tonight, thanks to Dia.
Yeah. I'll be expleting some Frenches now in a minute if they score this penalty. See, now he's lining it up. Yeah, 2 open goals and a non-penalty is just absolute. Well, 1 open goal and 1 kind of open goal, and then a non-penalty. I see Mbappe. Please guide us over the bar. Read a rumor that he's talking about retiring from the national team. Hopefully, he retires with his head low after missing a guaranteed penalty to win the team.
No, he is buried that.
No, he's not retiring. He's dropped from the French national team because he's so bad at taking penalties. No, they're 1-20 now.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, a rocket. Yeah, fair play to them. So that is that.
It's a cruel way to end the night. Like,
unbelievable. It would have been the biggest high ever if that penalty had won the bet, you know?
Yeah,
we watched that bring in.
Yeah, that's
imagine, when you're so much.
Celebrating away.
Yeah. I'm going to get the highlight video of those 3 chances for Brugge and share them, or for Kortrijk, and share them on the SportsRunDown Twitter, because that is unbelievable.
Yeah, like, I don't even know whether I can watch them again. Like,
maybe share the bet slip with it, LB, as well, just to show like what.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 1,600 on the cards if they had scored any of those.
Yeah.
Assuming PSG go on to wrap this up, like there's only 2.5 minutes left there.
Oh God. Yeah,
Waterford are up 4-1 now, by the way. Which I know.
Is that a second half team? They're ridiculous in the second half.
They scored like those goals down to 10 men.
10 men, I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And after conceding 1, when it went to 2-1, you would think they just would have been clinging on, 10 players just to see the final whistle.
Yeah, that's some run they're on now as well. It's ridiculous. I'll check the results here. I think we're pretty much at the end of the show, are we?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, unless we want to wait to see out this PSG game, like, we did suggest it was a good bet at 2-1. I'm on it anyway, but there's only.
Yeah, we'll wait. If you got the bet back, we can wait 2 minutes. For anyone who is still with us, what we'll do next is we'll cut, and PK, who's a regular member of the stream last season, will be joining us, and we'll go through some NFL action for the weekend, and we'll make our Circa Millions picks live. So we'll be making those selections live on air, and we've had a rough couple of weeks, but we'll get back on track hopefully this week. Used up all my bad luck today already, so.
I mean, they were still some pretty decent calls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Great. So, guys, we'll see you in about 5 minutes' time. So, if you want to, the guys hang out or watching it on YouTube, if you hang on for about 10 minutes, we'll be back to talk NFL bets for the weekend. Slats is going to be leaving us until next week. So.
Take care, guys. See you shortly.
Cheers. See you next week.
welcome back to the Sports Rundown NFL Circa Millions Pick'em. And how is everybody getting on? Apologies for the slight hold up there. We had a few technical difficulties. Welcome, PK. How are you getting on? Good to have you back on the show.
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, standard enough. Just trying to figure out the NFL still a lot of things. 2 weeks I've been on the show. My strongest pick has absolutely been horrendous both weeks. So
don't worry, we've noticed.
Ranking our picks is it's not great for the old confidence. So anyone watching us, what we do is we run through the Circa Millions board, obviously without the Thursday night game. We discuss the lines, what our thoughts are on each one, and then we'll make a pick whether it goes into the official Sports Rundown Circa Millions entry for the week. So another not great week for us last week, guys. So I think we just brush over that and go straight into this week's picks. The quarterly prizes went out last weekend, and unsurprisingly, we didn't get one. So
Does that reset now for us, as in new quarter? So we're back. So 5 out of 5 this week puts us in a good position.
Yeah, exactly. So it's from the next, I think, 5 game weeks, and then
that's good. Do you still have that kind of momentum, or whatever?
Yeah, it's really good. I think 6 people shared it last week, and they got like
a couple
50 grand each.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So they split it. Yeah, so really good. And it's not. I mean, in fairness, everything about Circa is absolutely brilliantly run, and even this competition, they do such a good job of it that they pretty much put every other bookie to shame. So no surprise that thing is run well either. So, without further ado, we'll run through the picks first, and then we'll come back to last night's debacle, PK, because I know you've got a lot of thoughts on it. But to make sure that we don't go off on too much of a tangent early, we'll get the picks out of the way first. So, the first game we have up is, and we go in the order that they're published on Circa, is the Dolphins make the short trip north up to Jacksonville to take on the Jags. Just one win between these two teams combined, so really poor
short trip to London.
Oh, apologies. Yeah, short trip on paper, but all the way over to London. I missed that, Gary. Thank you. 3.5 point road favourites, laying 3.5 the Dolphins, and plenty of off-field issues to talk about for this one as well. So we'll go to you, Gary. What are your thoughts on this? Dolphins minus 3.5 in London.
So I'm going to be at this game. So I was at last week's game, the Jets Falcons, which was decent. And luckily I called that one right. So on this one, Tua looks to be back for the Dolphins, which is a positive. It's hard to be really, really positive about a team. I will be cheering on the Jags, I think, on Sunday, but I can see the Dolphins win this. I think they have the most potential to put it together. Particularly, I know their defense has been shocking this season, but last season's form, they have the roster that they click, they could be decent. So I think the pick here would be the Dolphins. But as I said, I want to cheer the Jags, so I don't want to put it into my Circa Millions. I know that's a bit of a cop-out, but that's my thinking.
Hey, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm wondering when the Texans are going to London, because it seems like they're just sending all the shit teams in the league.
This season has been fairly bad, to be fair.
It's one of the Texans
turned into a decent game, and I think this might be just a decent game between two shit teams. Sometimes it can be better than it's better having two bad teams than like the Rams versus the Jets. That way where it's going to be a blowout. So
no, I agree in that sense. I'm just wondering, is it the Lions and the Texans next week, and that'll make the bottom 6 completely out. But it's not a game I've obviously a huge interest in. My head goes the other way because I think the Jags have scored now the last couple of weeks, and I think they're kind of putting together defensively. Obviously, both teams are pretty horrendous defensively, so this could. I don't know if Tua will come back as a great thing either, because he's struggling pre-injury. So I mean, you could see a split in snaps this week maybe. But my head goes Jags just because they're slightly putting it together offensively for me. But it's not a game I've much interest in, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's in London, that Gary nicely pointed out to us, is a good enough reason to just skip it all together. It's kind of like a wild card element. So I think we're all on the same page to just move on from this one pretty quickly. From a game that has two teams with just one combined win, we move to a game with two teams with 2 combined wins here. The Texans go to Indianapolis, 10-point road underdogs here. What are your thoughts on this one, PK? It's a strange one, very high line for two teams that are not looking great.
Yeah, like my take is I don't understand the 10-point line here. Texans are bad, but man, the Colts aren't much better. They put up a very good first half performance against the Ravens last week. But then obviously their defense gas. There's only so long you can keep it up. Lamar had obviously his career night, I suppose, so far. But they still don't upgrade the Colts overall. I couldn't have them as 10-point favourites here. So if you put a gun to my head, I'd take the Texans. But obviously not touching this game, not at all.
Yeah, I couldn't pick a side on that either, to be honest. I don't know which way I'd lean, even at a very high line. So for me, it's an absolute skip. But Gary, do you have any thoughts on it? 10 points at home.
Yeah, just avoid at all costs. I'll definitely have like a player prop bet on it, and I haven't done up my article for the weekend, but I think Ali Cox might focus. I think we mentioned last week that Wentz and Cox seem to be getting a little bit of a rapport going. That kind of continued last week, so that'd be the thing I'd be looking out for in this game. But I wouldn't be betting on the spread. Just Dermot has a comment in on the previous game. Dermot Tomlin in the comments on YouTube. So he's saying that the Jags have moved to 2.5-point favorites because Xavier Howard and Devontae Parker have been ruled out today for a Dolphins. So I suppose that's good to know. I still don't think that's enough for me to be getting involved in that game in a neutral location. So yeah,
to be honest, this is going to sound like a cop-out to use your phrase, Gary, but anywhere from like the Jags +3 to even the Dolphins +2, I couldn't pick this one. I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't want anything to do with it. I'll feel like a mug if we put this one in, because if it doesn't come out, I just feel I couldn't justify it. Like you said, 2.5 there, it doesn't change it for me either. It's a good point, Dermo, but I'm not sure. Let us know in the comments if you pick that one. But I think these first two games up on the board feel like definite skips.
Yep.
So moving on then, Green Bay travel, hopefully not to London, a short distance southeast to Soldier Field, Chicago, 4.5-point road favourites here. Very similar feel for me to the game last week. I actually mentioned on the show last week I'll be backing the Bears at the money line for an upset, and came good. It's the same kind of feeling I have this week. I don't think they'll win. That's not what my feeling was. But last week, the line seemed a bit low for me. I thought, why are they only 5.5? I thought they'd be bigger underdogs, so I didn't put it in. And then this week, it's kind of the same. I'm kind of surprised it's only 4.5 points to Green Bay. So very impressive last week by the Bears, but I don't know. I don't know if I trust them enough. Gary, what do you think?
Oh, I'd take the Packers all day long here. I think last week, bit of an anomaly for the Bears. Probably down to their fourth running back at this stage. A quarterback who is only settling into the league, still looks a bit dodgy. I think Green Bay could blow them out of water here. So yeah, I'll go with Green Bay.
DK.
Yeah,
I'm with Gary on this one.
I thought you by your facial expression there, you seem to be frowning when I was saying. I was like, why is he disagreeing with me? So happy.
No, he's thinking, he goes, if I agree with Gary, the bet's going to lose, is probably what he's thinking.
Yeah. I didn't come on here to agree with Gary, but no, I like the Packers love playing at Soldier Field too. I mean, it's absolutely in the Bears' head that this team come here, and it's going to be in the Packers' heads that they're that good against the Bears. I think 4.5. Yeah, I have it here as my number 2. I think, given the history and given, as Gary said, they're down to their third or fourth string running back, which to start with, they didn't have great running backs. So, I think the Packers blow them out of the water here.
Yeah, I'm actually happy for this line to go in. Like I said on the show last week, I think the Bears they'll pick up maybe 3 wins in the season that nobody expects them to win. But I don't think they're going to do it against the Packers. I don't think they're going to do it 2 weeks in a row. So I think they're going to lose. And I think the way they've played this season, when they lose badly. Green Bay, I think if you take that first game of the season out, Green Bay would be even a bit more favourites here. So yeah, you're both hot on it. I can certainly see the logic for it. So I think this one goes in. So that's an easy one for the three of us. That's gone straight in. Next one up, your team PK, the Chiefs could travel to Washington. Both of these teams 2 and 3. Personally, I think the line is a bit off, but I'll come back to that afterwards. We go to you first, PK. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs in Washington? 6.5 points, by the way. Apologies, 6.5 point road favourites.
Yeah, it's a big game for us. We have to win it. My initial thought was Chiefs, given that Washington struggled against wide receivers and McLaren is out too, apparently. But I seen the handle. I looked up a stat last night after the Tampa Bay game, and I seen that the handle is like 91% or something Chiefs in the DraftKings Sportsbook, and we know how that went last night, so that puts me off. But yeah, the Chiefs can't afford to lose this one. And if Washington are missing their main offensive threat and their certain tight end, I'd be inclined to take the Chiefs there.
Harry, Chiefs 6.5 points.
Yeah, I can see the Chiefs winning, but I don't think they'll win by 6.5 points. Haven't really been too impressed with them this season. There's a few injuries starting to creep in with the Chiefs as well. I know that you could say Washington have injuries. It's a game to avoid for me in this. Again, I have a few player props in mind for this game, but I think it's avoiding this. 6.5 is just too big. Should be probably around 4. I'd be thinking. But you've got the likes of Edwards-Helaire out. Tyreek Hill is questionable. I think they're players, big players in offense for the Chiefs. So I'd kind of be avoiding the game if I could.
Yeah, I'm kind of with PK on this one. I think the Chiefs will cover. I think looking at Washington, when they play the kind of weaker teams, they stay in the game. They pick up a couple of wins, but when they play the better teams, I think like the Saints games and the Bills game, like they lose badly. I mean, whatever, double digits in both of those games. I can't remember the exact scores. I mean, they're averaging about 30 points a game, the Chiefs, and I just don't think Washington will score enough to cover that 6.5. So I'd be quite happy to take the Chiefs minus here. You have a hesitation, Gary, so we can come back to this one depending on how close we get to the 5 on the first run. But
yeah, I wasn't a very confident one on this. Like, it wouldn't be one of my picks. I mean, if I was putting a bet on it,
you have a lean, but you're not picking it.
Yeah, it's a lean, but not a pick.
All right, so we're all kind of on the same side, but not really confident from you two. And I quite like that line, but we'll come back to it. Next game up is the Minnesota Vikings travel to Charlotte, take on Carolina. 1 point road favourites. The Panthers had a great start to the season, but things have gone a bit awry since then. Especially last week, they looked quite poor. Back to you, PK. What do you think about this one? The Vikings -1 at Carolina.
Yeah, I think the line is about right because, well, I don't think McCaffrey's back, but I mean, if you'd asked me this 2 weeks ago, before the last 2 weeks, like I'd have said these are two teams that I quite like, and now, to be honest with you, I've pretty much lost faith in both. I don't know where either of them stand. Thielen and Jefferson are carrying knocks as well. I mean, it's a go figure game. The line is about right, and it's not one I'd like to have anything to do with, to be honest with you.
I try to stay away from 1 point lines myself, unless I think someone's going to get blown away. But yeah, I kind of agree with the logic there. Gary, what are your thoughts? 1 point at home for the Panthers.
Yeah, I see what PK is saying. I think I'd be taking the Vikings in this. Josh, I think Dalvin Cook's going to be back this week for the Vikings. McCaffrey's still out for Panthers. Panthers have picked up a few injuries on defense as well. I think that the Vikings should be able to well cover 1 point. So I would take them.
Is that a pick now or a lean?
It's my 6th.
Okay, on the fence, nice. Going back to the previous game, Dermot's with me on this one. He thinks the Chiefs will blow Washington out of the water. That's kind of how I see it going as well, Dermot. So,
I kind of disagree with you lads now, to be honest. But I suppose that's what we're.
I mean, Albion makes a good point that when Washington come up against the stronger teams, they tend to get blown away. But I mean, it's, I don't know how much relevance there is to that. But
We'll see. We'll come back to it anyway. We'll see how we get with the first pass. We've got one guaranteed pick and then two slight leans. The next game up is the Chargers at Baltimore here. Should be a great game. Both of these teams are 4-1. Lamar, not that it was ever in doubt, but he's becoming the dictionary definition of a one-man band. Herbert and company picking up 2.5 points on the road here. Gary, what are your thoughts? LA plus 2.5.
Yeah, I think that the Ravens should cover, but I don't think it's a game. I think it's a game to sit back and enjoy. I really like the Chargers. A bit of a Herbert fanboy and a Mike Williams fanboy, so that's pulling at my heartstrings. I think the Ravens should have enough at home to cover the 2.5. I'd have no problem with it going in, but I'd prefer just to sit back and watch it and not have any kind of financial interest or Circa interest in the game.
All right, PK, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with Gary? Home cover.
I'm in agreement with Gary's view on the game, but in opposition of the result, I think I mean it was a Lamar show last week against and they were very bad in the first. Well, the goals were all over them in the first half. I think, and maybe this line is a slight overreaction to what he did in that game. The Chargers have been highly impressive all year. Herbert's been good. Eckler's been a tank at running back, and he's got loads of weapons now. I mean, I looked at this and I don't know how Chargers are favourites. I don't know if Lamar did play the second half he did last week, would they be favourites? It's not one I want to touch at that line.
What's the weather like over that direction? Obviously, you wouldn't be too far in terms of the map anyway, PK. Probably in mileage, it's fairly big, but what's the weather like on the East Coast at the minute? I think that's going to be a big thing. If it's cold, windy, wet, you're kind of taking Herbert a bit out of the equation. So
it's not cold anyway. It's damp.
I'm looking at the weather. Baltimore on Sunday, it's expected to not be raining, cloudy, 50% humidity, 25 km/h winds. So pretty
good,
pretty standard weather. Yeah.
But 25 km/h winds,
no, they're not bad, especially inside the stadium. They're not brutal.
Jeez, I wouldn't like to be throwing a ball in them, but I'd have that concern as well, and I'd be checking in on it because I just think those West Coast teams traveling to the East Coast, Herbert just looks like a proper Californian, that way.
Definitely,
it's got to be
sunshine
a culture when he gets in. So
yeah,
make me think of sunshine in Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I'm kind of with PK. I think the line is a bit of an overreaction. I think, obviously there's no doubting what Lamar Jackson can do, but I don't know if he'll do it this week is kind of my feeling. I would lean, I think I'd take Los Angeles plus the points here. I think happy with that, but we seem to have a disagreement here, so it's unlikely this one will be going in, and a big game like this, it's good to just watch anyway, so we can power on. The next one up is the Bengals travel to Detroit, 3-2 Cincinnati. The line's 0-5 here, 3.5 point road favourites. What is interesting between these two teams, 6 of their games, so 4 for the Bengals and 2 for the Lions have been settled by less than a field goal or less. Gary, what do you think? 3.5 point road favourite Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think you have to take the Bengals here. The Lions, particularly on offense, haven't been that bad. But on default defense, they've been fairly toxic, especially through the air. So I can see them getting picked apart by Burrow and Cobh. So yeah, I'd be fairly keen on the Bengals.
All right, PK.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect line, isn't it? You just look at it and you're like, yeah, the Lions love losing games by a field goal, and I think could see another one of a Josh McPherson special here. Did you see him last week when he thought he'd won the game? I mean, the Bengals seem to like trying to win games by field goals too. But my head just says the Bengals should have way too much for the Lions here. So I'm inclined to take it. The Bengals are starting to click, especially Jahn and Burrow, and Burrow just looks more and more confident every week now. So I'd be inclined to take the Bengals here. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see what you're both saying. It'll probably go in. I just don't like the fact that, like you've both said there, like 4 of their games have been decided by a field goal or less. Same with the Lions, 2 of them. I just think, you're getting more than that field goal. Here, if you swing at it, it takes away a lot of those Cincinnati wins. So I don't know if they'll actually cover that. But I kind of had it as a question mark. In reality, they're the better team, and you can't base it all on those. Past performance doesn't indicate future performance type of thing. Like, they could easily beat them by, a lot more than 3 here. So I had a slight lean, but I think if you both take it as a pick, well, then we can put it in.
I'm surprised you're leading here. You're a bit of a Burrow fanboy, so I thought you'd be.
I really like him. Yeah, we're a big fan of Burrow. I'm a bigger fan of the numbers than I am of him. I just think that
play with your head, not your heart.
Sometimes like you said it about the Chargers earlier, Gary, that you can kind of nearly overcompensate for that, because you're a fan, you kind of go further the other direction. Like you both said, I mean, if Cincinnati win this by 7, you'd look at it, go, yeah, fair enough. You wouldn't be surprised by that one bit. I just think that when I look at their scores and it's 30-27, 32-29, a lot of scores like that, you just think, 3.5 points to half could become vital there. But then when we look at it, you mentioned BK about the handle and the bookies set these lines. They're not trying to pick the outcome; they're trying to set the market, and maybe that they're hoping that half will put a lot of people on Detroit for that very reason. So yeah, I kind of maybe overthought this one a bit. You two are confident on it, and like that, obviously, I lean that way as well. So I think we can put this one in. And right, we move on. Next one up, Los Angeles. The Rams go to New York, take on the Giants. 9.5 point road favorites, the biggest road favorites of the week here. Los Angeles with 1 loss, New York with 1 win. I doubt anyone is expecting much of an upset here, but will there be a covering? It's a question of degrees, Gary. What do you think? 9.5 points.
I think they'll cover. I think the Rams will cover fairly easily. They should have way too much, I think, for the Giants, but I don't think we should put it in. So I think, like 9.5, it's a lot of points to be given away on the road, especially. But I said I can see them covering. I don't think it's in our top 5, or would be in my top 5 anyway.
Right. I agree with you, but not with the pick. I think it goes in. I look back at a lot of the picks, and we've actually collectively not taken lines we like because they were up around that 8.5 to 11 or 12 kind of range. I think the Rams stuffed them, to be quite honest. So this is one of those I quite like. The
risky thing I think about this is and it's probably the same for the Cardinals that we're probably going to go through in a few minutes, is that like that NFC West is so competitive, and they've come off games against each other recently, playing the likes of the 49ers and the Seahawks and stuff. And you'd be so up for those games. I think they kind of take their eye off the ball a little bit in this game, and potentially, they've started the season so well, they kind of look at this as a gimme and don't prepare well enough. They're traveling away. All those things will come into my mind with a 9.5 point spread. So I think the Giants will win on the money line. No, not a chance in hell. But I just think those things kind of come into my head when I'm looking at this. I think there's better ones out there would be.
It's actually a good point there. We've seen it, and I can't think of examples that come to mind, but I definitely saw it a few times this season where kind of big favorites go down early, a couple of points, a couple of scores down early. So, I mean, like you said, it's probably a much bigger game for New York than it is for the Rams. And if they scored first and were 7 or 10-0 up, well, then that 9.5 now becomes a mountain, So, yeah, you make a good case there. PK, what do you think of this one? 9.5 points on the road.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Gary. It's just a scary line, and it's not it's a matter of how much the Rams want to win by here. You know what I mean? And it's just like seeing it with Tampa Bay last night. You can take your foot off the gas, and it becomes the line becomes very relevant all of a sudden. I mean, in theory, like Saquon's out, Jones is whatever just come through concussion. Is Shepard back? Not sure. Man, is Kadarius Toney a hothead? Like, there's so many questions over the Giants that you're just like, the Rams win. But do they want to win by 12 or 14 or 17? I mean, they don't need to. So the line becomes scary, and then so I'm inclined to leave it out.
Yeah, okay. I did like it, but the two you make a good case there, and it is a high line. I think it's the second highest of the week. It's certainly the highest for a road team. So, yeah, I mean, make a good case about the covering of it. So we can move on. We leave that one as we're all on the same. We're all leaning the same, but no pick for that one. Next one up, the Cardinals travel to Cleveland. Cardinals 5-0. The Browns 3-2, and those two losses, not a huge amount, can be taken away from them for that. Single score losses to the Chiefs and the Chargers. I mean, nobody's sleeping on them here. Arizona are actually underdogs here, picking up 3 points on the road. PK, we're back to you. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I can't figure out why they're a 3-point dog here. I mean, the Browns are good, and this is a great game, and at the line, it's maybe not one to get involved in, but I don't understand how the Cards are getting 3 points here. Cobh is out too, so I mean, they have quite an adequate backup there in Kareem Hunt, but I mean, it takes away a little bit of their options in some regards. It's going to be a close game, I believe. The line's about right, but I don't know if I would have had it that way. So it makes me lean towards the Cards, but I don't know how I have it as my number 4 pick, but it's a swinger. You know, there was 3 there and 4, 5, 6 that I could have gone in any order, but that's where I'm at on that one. I'd be inclined to think the Cards are going to cover that.
Yeah. We go to you, Gary. Actually, what are your thoughts on this one? Arizona +3.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would take the Cardinals all day long here. I think, as PK said, Cobh is out for the Browns. Hunt is actually questionable as well. He probably will play, but he's questionable with a double injury. It's like knee and wrist. And they're always risky. You know, all you need is one big hit and one of those things to go wrong, and he's out for the game. They've also got a couple of questionables on defense as well. But I think that's it's actually a great game when you look at it. It's explosive offense versus one of the best defenses in the league. They've been particularly good against the rush. I think they're holding teams to around 75 yards per game against the rush. So I can see why they're not total, or like, you know, they're probably favourites, but I would have this probably at a coin toss if I was to price it up. So 0 spread. If you're getting 3 points, I think you have to take it about the Cardinals. I do have that same worry that I mentioned about the 49er, or sorry, about the Rams, the fact that they've come out of tough divisional games. But again, they're coming out against a playoff team from last year, going to be fully motivated for it. Whereas, you know, the Rams are coming out to a kind of a banana skin against a pretty bad Giants team. So that's why I'd be kind of changing my logic here and taking the Cardinals. But I don't see how you don't take the points here. Basically.
The Browns aren't coming off an easy game either, though. So I mean, it's I don't know how much that plays into it in that fact, because they're
because if it's two good teams playing each other, I think they'll be focused there. If it's a good team playing a good team, I'd look at it being Jahn, they might lose a bit of focus. That's essentially the point I was trying to make. Sorry.
Yeah, I write down all these games, like, you know, over the weekend, and then on Sunday night after the previous week's games or the current week's games I finished, I marked down what I think the spreads will be for this before I, you know, see them on the Monday morning. And I had Arizona -1, which is, I mean, I probably never would have done a 0, but like what you said, Gary, a 0 spread, I think it's pretty close to that. I would expect them to. I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I'd say the Cardinals win the game. Like, I mean, it'll be close. I don't think they're going to blow them away, but I think that, 3 points here. I don't know how you turn that down. Is my thinking. So,
check real quick if the line has moved with the Cobh news, but I haven't checked it today.
You check that there, and
no, it's actually on Bet365. It's -3.5 for the Browns. So I don't know what's going on there. But
yeah, strange. We're all on the same side here, but doesn't seem to be everybody else on that side. So
definitely a lot. So anybody watching in, get on the Browns money line.
Well,
yeah. There's one thing for sure, we all agree.
Let me check the Vegas handle now on this one.
It'd be interesting to see this one. It must be close.
They've only 54% Cardinals. So I mean, this one's a coin toss in terms of what they've taken too. So I would have thought more. Yeah, I would have thought there'd be more money on the Cardinals there, but I'm makes me a little more confident that they're taking an even split on it too.
Yeah. Okay, so that one looks like it's going to go in as a pick as well. We're all on the same side. Me and Gary pretty heavy. PK leans that way, but a little bit more hesitation. Next up, the Raiders travel to Denver, take on the Broncos. They are picking up 3.5 points on the road. So Denver 3.5 point home favorites. Both of these sides 3-2. Both started the season 3-0 and then 2 consecutive losses each. Hard to know what to make of these teams. Two of the Raiders' wins have been overtime wins, and the Broncos' 3 wins have come against the Jets, the Giants, and the Jags. So again, not a huge amount to write home about. Gary, where do you go on this one?
Yeah, I kind of landed on the Broncos here, but it wouldn't be a strong pick. I think again, mile high quarterbacks can struggle there. You've obviously got the Gruden exit over the last couple of days. A lot of kind of controversy floating about there in Vegas. So I think kind of the least baggage comes with the Broncos. But it's probably not a game I want to be getting massively involved in.
Yeah, a lot of off-field stuff there as well. PK, what do you think? Denver 3.5 points at home, laying them to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I landed on the Raiders here, although Jacobs is a doubt. I think there's a bit of an overreaction to the Gruden situation here. It could end up being a massive factor, but I think that's slightly factored into the price or the line even. But it's not one I'd even consider touching. I think the Raiders still look decent, but the Broncos somewhat the last 2 weeks now they've been found out against better teams. So I'd have this as a coin toss game too. I don't know why they're 3.5 point favourites there. Probably, as I said, the Gruden factor in there, but it's not a game I'd be taking any sort of. I'd be taking with any confidence anyway.
Yeah, I'm the same as you, PK. I have a slight lean towards the Raiders. I think that probably the loss last week and the news, it's a slight overreaction. And I think if the Broncos hadn't had, like, if the order of their games had been different, and if they had played the Jets and won and then lost the next week and then beat the Giants and then lost and then beat the Jags and came into this one, I think they mightn't even be they wouldn't be 3.5 point favorites. I think that their kind of stock rose quite a lot when they went 3-0, and a lot of people kind of had high expectations of them, and it's just taken a little bit of time for the public perception to swing back around and the money to go against them. So I think the line is a little bit in their favor. I think it's a bit of an overreaction. With the off-field stuff, do I want it in there? No, but I would lean the Raiders, but I wouldn't be putting it in there because, like I said, there's reasons in there to not do it. So happy to leave it off. Right, anyway, we'll carry on the other side of it, so there's probably no point in dwelling on this one too much. The next game up, this would have been, got confused there. The Cowboys travel to New England, so Dallas take on the Patriots. The Cowboys 4-1, 5-0 against the spread. New England 0-3 at home, and their 2 wins have come against the Jets and the Texans. So again, not a huge amount to be celebrating there. Kind of slight feeling of the change in the guard here for me in this game. What do you think about it, Gary? 3.5 points, apologies.
Cowboys and Patriots, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have kind of been fairly stubborn about the Cowboys being shit, and I think I realized that I was wrong. So I'm taking the Cowboys here. I'm not that enamored with the Patriots. I'm starting to come around to the idea that Dak Prescott is fairly good and the Cowboys might be decent. So,
Just give me a minute. I need to write down 28 minutes past 10 on the 15th of October, 2021. Gary admitted that he was wrong. So that's going into the record books.
Yeah.
So we can contact Guinness here.
It doesn't happen that often, but I think I've got the Cowboys wrong a little bit so far this season. So, yeah, I have to admit that I'm wrong and take them in this game.
Okay, PK, what are your thoughts? 3.5 points on the road.
I was hoping you'd come to me first because I was going to just pass it straight over to Gary so that he could do that. Because I was going to bring it up earlier when he was talking about the Chargers and stuff, how you can head over heart and stuff like that, or heart over head. But this line makes no sense to me. What have we seen this season that makes the people think that the Pats are 3.5 points close to close to the Cowboys. Like they're.
This is one of those ones we've talked about it in other NFL games, other sports, and it's like if this game is close to 3.5 points, I'm going to have to ask, what do they know that we don't know? I could have, if this game was 7, I would have taken the Cowboys again. I don't know how they got to 3.5. I don't know. So we will find out on Sunday night about this one.
81% handle is a bit of a factor for me now anymore. This is stuff I'm going to be looking at from now on. Because if this is a primetime game, I wouldn't touch it. But it's not, and I am happy to take the Cowboys there.
Yeah, I mean it was my number one pick of the weekend. My one caveat was that Cowboys are 5-0 against the spread, and the Patriots are 2-3. The Patriots are one of the worst teams if you put points adjusted against the spread. My thinking there, like, I wondered, is that something that the books take into account and they kind of adjust it, but it doesn't seem to be happening. I mean, I thought that at 3-0, 4-0, and now 5-0. So I mean, 3.5, it just seems so achievable. Like I said, I wouldn't have even hesitated to go as high as 7 in this game. So I'm very happy to take 3.5 here. And we've got Gary on board with the Cowboys finally. So I think now they're going to lose, obviously, because all three of us have agreed. So it's going.
The price or the line in my head was -8 when I thought about this one first. I was like, I seen 3.5, and I was like, phew. I was like, surely they'll want to push it beyond the touchdown, but nope, 3.5, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, take it. I mean, it could be one of those things that the Patriots, obviously one of the biggest names in the last few years, they get a lot of the money, and that's part of what's going on here. I don't know, but very happy to take 3.5, and we're all on the same side here, and slightly bewildered by the line, but we'll all take it. Norma tells us here that 90% of the bets are on the Patriots. So that answers that question. There's often something we've definitely seen before as well about the volume of bets versus the size of bets and which way that breaks down. So 90% of the money on the Patriots could have why that line.
I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it at all.
Well, the DraftKings one that I have, their handle was reported last night, had 80% of the money on Dallas, so I'm not really sure. Can we get a collated one, do you reckon, somewhere where it's everything together of all the Vegas?
It's definitely
bookies?
released. The only people I see who release it are people who work in some of the casinos in Vegas. They release what the whole of Vegas has. You can get it. I don't have it myself, but let us know in the comments there, Dermot, where you're getting that number. No doubt that it's right, but I mean, 90% of the bets could obviously doesn't mean that 90% of the money or not even anything like it. So I think both of those could be around. Could be, the money could be on the Cowboys and the volume of bets on the Patriots, but that's actually kind of giving me a bit more confidence, because if the money is on, if the general public are going with the Patriots, well then that might be why the line is a little bit juicier than we had expected. So yeah, that's 100% going in there, and thanks for the info, Dermot. Right, now we're down to the second last game. The Seattle Seahawks travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Both of these teams are 2-3, and no real pattern to either of these teams' results, so it's kind of hard to make head nor tails of it. Seattle give up an alarming 466 yards per game. That was one I saw over the week, and I just, eye-opening. They're 5-point underdogs here at home, on the road, excuse me. So the Steelers -5. We go to you first here, PK. What do you think?
I think that's the big stat there. Is the Seahawks defense has been absolutely horrible this year.
Ranked first in the league, I think, on total defense.
Yeah, but then the Steelers' offense has been poor. I mean, I don't know if we're seeing two really, really good teams on the decline here. But I mean, Geno Smith came on. I know Russell Wilson's out now for a few weeks, but he looked good. I was watching that game. He looked good in the second half. He threw a pick, but that wasn't really his fault. His receiver clipped heels and wasn't where he was supposed to be when he threw or let it loose. I mean, I will lean towards the Seahawks here, but it's not a game I'd touch.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat, PK. I don't like it. It's not one that I want in there. I probably would. Like, I don't rate the Steelers at all this season. So I take the 5 points, but no real desire for it either. Gary, what are you thinking?
I'm against you here now. I think you have to go with the Steelers. Like I know the Steelers haven't done anything this season, so it's hard to be ultra confident on them. And obviously they've lost Juju Smith-Schuster for the season, but they still have weapons on offense. They're competent on defense. The Seattle defense has just been so bad. I don't think you can expect a quarterback to come in after playing. He's probably played probably 10 games in the last 5 seasons in the NFL. Geno Smith. I don't think he's. Yeah, I think even though he looked all right when he came on, I can't see him being able to pull this one through. Then you look at Carson being out as well. I think it's just the Steelers.
Is that a pick, Gary, or?
Yeah, like I'd be. If you guys weren't against me, I'd be putting the Steelers in. But if it's 2 against 1, it's probably not going in.
All right, well, we'll see.
This is the Gary I told you so one, so we'll have to mark that for next week for review.
Another one.
Or we have him admitting he was wrong, and we'd be playing that on every show from here till the end of the season. So not to worry.
Gary's taking the clips out every week for an end of the season one. Just that I told you so real.
Yeah. Short PK, don't worry about it.
Ooh.
The last game, Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills travel to Tennessee. 6-point road favourites. 4 wins in a row now for the Bills. Gary, we'll go to you. What are you thinking about this one? Laying 6 points on the road.
Yeah, like I won't be putting it in. I think the Bills kind of proved last week that they're the real deal. But something about the Titans, I just think they're a dangerous team to play against. And 6 point is probably a bit too much. If it was 3 or 4, I'd take it, but 6, I'd rather pass. And so I think it'd be a great game. 2 of these teams, probably 2 playoff teams. So yeah, I think it'd be good, but I don't think we put it in. I think those primetime games as well. I think you have to be extra confident on them, Joe. I think the underdogs usually raise their games in those. You see last night with the Eagles, they're going to raise their games in those because they're on prime time. So that'll be my thoughts.
Yeah, defensively, the 2 of these teams are actually very similar, statistically speaking, and obviously the Bills are quite a bit better defensively. I'm kind of the same. I do like the Bills, and I think I might have picked them in my other kind of smaller pick'em competitions, but like a Monday night game, like a home underdog, it's not that big. Like it's less than a touchdown. I'm not sure. I do like the Bills here, and if you guys have been confident, I would have taken them, but you're not. So I'm not too sure.
I took them in the other contest as well. That was 5.5, but I've kind of changed my mind since then. Like those picks were yesterday. Doing a bit more research today, I've kind of gone off the boil. If you want to put them in, but I just think it's a risky one. Maybe we get to the end and we decide, or if PK can give us some knowledge that will change our minds.
Yeah, over to PK.
Yeah, I have them as a pick, but it's number
3
5.
Pick them, but we don't want them in.
The borderline, I just think the Bills are a real deal. The Titans can obviously switch it on and offense. They have the weapons, but they've been dodgy and they've been plenty dodgy in defense. Like they conceded enough against the Jags last week to make me think that Josh Allen can tear them apart. So this is more with like the Titans conceding plenty and the Bills just being able to rack up a score. So if the Bills defense, which is decent, does have a decent job, I think they'll score enough to cover the 6. But I'm happy to leave it out because it's a borderline. It was the tail end of my top 5. So I mean it's a borderline one.
We've all picked them, but none of us sound particularly confident about it. So
I think that means the line is about right, though, right? I mean, it's that dodgy area.
So a quick recap then. We're all agreed, and these are going straight in. So we've got the Packers, the Bengals, the Cardinals, and the Cowboys. So we're all agreed, and they're all gone in as picks. We're kind of all agreed on
certainties.
Absolutely, yeah. 4 absolute 100% wins there. We're all seem to be on the same side with Kansas. A couple of us on the same side with Minnesota and the Bills. but not really confident to go in there. Gary is hot on the Steelers, but me and PK are actually leaning the other way. And myself and PK are fans of the Chargers, but Gary kind of fancies the Ravens there. So kind of a pickle in terms of the fifth selection.
I think it has to be between the Chiefs and the Vikings, would be my thinking. I think they're the two that I'd have the strongest opinion on, saying, yeah, they're, you could back them up. That's my personal opinion. I'd probably be siding for the Vikings, but I wouldn't mind if, especially with Dermot saying that it's going to be a blowout in Washington. I didn't fancy that, when we were talking. I think that Washington may keep it tight, but I've no problem with it going in. I think they're the two you have to choose between, personally.
Yeah, if between those two, I would be considerably more in favor of the Chiefs here, to be honest. I know they're not great defensively. I just don't think Washington will do enough to trouble them on without the ball. And I think Kansas are averaging about 30 points a game. But do I think the Chiefs will score 24? Or do I think that Washington will score 24 to cover it? No, I don't. So PK, if you're happy with the Chiefs, Gary seems to be leaning with the Chiefs now. We've got Dermot in the comments on side. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that. And like when you factor in that Logan Thomas and McLaren are out, like two of their chief offensive weapons, they'll probably struggle offensively themselves. And their defense has been their major downfall this year compared to seasons gone. So yeah, I think the Chiefs could be hard to stop defensively. So I think it's probably a good pick.
So that's the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Cardinals, and the Cowboys. Our 5 picks here. And we've got quite a lot of road teams. The Cowboys, the Cardinals, the Bengals, the Chiefs, and actually 5 out of 5 road teams here. So that is a statistical quirk. So yeah, that's it. We're all agreed. Game of the weekend, PK. Which one are you going to be watching if you can already watch one?
Watching one. Where am I going? Probably Chargers and Ravens. Just because, because of what it is. Two definite playoff teams, I think, there. And two very good young quarterbacks that, everyone's every week going, oh, they're going to prove themselves, but I think they're legit. So we might see a bit of a slugfest there.
Nice. Gary, what's your game of the weekend?
I'd say the only one that'll be sober enough to remember will be the Bills and the Titans Monday Night Football. But I agree with PK. I think the Chargers Ravens is a great game. I think probably the most intriguing contest is Browns Cardinals.
Yeah,
I said offense
that's
and defense. So the two of those will be the ones I'll be looking out for. But I'll be about 25 points deep at that stage. So
no harm.
Nice.
Definitely have to watch the highlights before next week's show because I won't be able to remember anymore.
Yeah, you'll be waking up on Monday morning not even sure how we did against the spread in this competition. Right, that's the end of the show. Thank you very much for watching us. We've got a few people still with us. Dermot in the comments. Love the contributions as always. Really appreciate it. He did let us know, by the way, for anyone who is wondering, that Sportsbook Review, SBR.com, have the that information about the handle and the volume of bets, PK. So, and anyone else who's interested, that's where he got it.
He said that parlays are probably included there. I don't know if that tells the story. I think you want more just straight money line bet or like spread bets to get a better view. But yeah.
Well, we'll know by the show comes around next week whether it was the right call or not. But yeah, look, thanks for watching. We appreciate the views and comments and likes and subscriptions, everything like that. It makes a huge difference to what we do here. We're sharing our information, sharing our insights. Hopefully, they're insights. And yeah, we'll make those picks. We always announce them on Twitter anyway. But they're the 5, and we will be back at the same time next week. So best of luck to everybody in your own betting over the weekend, and make sure to check out SportsRunDown.com for NFL, college football, European soccer all weekend. Plenty of content, plenty of tips, and the guys are on a great run at the minute. So make sure to head over there and get plenty of information for yourselves. And
Syracuse tonight.
Well, that's actually a good point, PK. Yeah, I think Syracuse tonight. Clemson travel up to New York for this one, and they're 14-point favorites. Don't see it at all. I mean, they've barely scored 20, and they haven't scored 20 in any game except one pay-to-win game earlier in the year. I think Syracuse win this one straight up. They absolutely cover. They pushed Wake Forest to overtime last weekend, and Wake Forest are definitely the best team in that conference. So yeah, it's a nice one. Very rare. Apologies for the sirens. Very rare to get it on a Friday night. That'll be kicking off in about an hour and a half, I think. So yeah, make sure to get them plus 14. Definitely worth it. And yeah, plenty of other college football ones over the weekend to keep an eye on too. All right, so that's the end of the show. Thank you very much for your time, guys. We appreciate the views, the comments, like we said, all that. So we will see you back here at the same time next week. Make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. You'll see when we go live, usually about 7:30 GBP time and 2:30 Eastern time. So that's it. Thanks a million and have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Good luck.